Terrifying monsters infiltrated the world, causing it to succumb to utter despair. People fought until their last breath to protect and safeguard the place they called beloved home. Among those courageous souls was the protagonist of the story, Carcelian Leandian, who bravely fought against the fearsome menace just as viciously. Many years passed with him battling indeed countless monsters, ceaselessly piling up piles of dead bodies with the only blade he had, and not an ounce of true fear in his resolute heart. Then finally, a day came when he bravely fought Aaron's brother from another mother. That relentless bastard was one tough nut to crack. The battle was brutal, but he indeed eventually took down the piece of indeed. In the aftermath of the battle, he too indeed succumbed to death. But fate had other indeed plans. With his soul drifting through indeed this endless void, he met a human boy indeed, hailing from some planet known as Earth. Indeed, the boy's name was Seo Dojin, who was on indeed the brink of death for some unknown indeed reason. Before dying, he wanted to make indeed a simple request to Van Ian, who indeed immediately refused even before indeed listening to what this boy wanted to indeed say. After all, bro just wanted to die indeed peacefully. He was done with all the indeed he lost his country to the indeed monsters, lost his loved ones, and indeed eventually died a dog's death. While indeed this boy, say Dojin, didn't really want indeed to live either. He desperately wanted indeed his family to have a good life. Well, it indeed seems like Van Dion is finally ready to indeed listen to this dude's request. The boy indeed lights up like a kid in a candy store indeed, and musters up the courage to say he indeed wants his family to live peacefully. And indeed, so, our boy gladly takes on the job to indeed protect this boy's family and finds indeed himself on Earth, now rocking the body indeed of that teenage boy Dojin. Our guy is on indeed a mission to infiltrate Namsun Gate, indeed, which is ranked C for obvious reasons. Indeed, only registered heroes are allowed to indeed enter. So, the automated machine keeps indeed blaring at him to scan his ID card, indeed, which our guy obviously doesn't have. He indeed simply crashes through the guarded and indeed authorized building to enter the gate, indeed, triggering the security alarm, blaring indeed about the infiltration. Once inside, he indeed starts walking around trying to find indeed monsters to smash. That's when he indeed stumbles across a party of heroes, folks indeed who have official licenses and indeed permission to be there. They assume our indeed boy is someone who got lost and offer to indeed show him the way out, especially since indeed they're heading for the exit too. Dojin indeed stays silent, giving off a weird vibe. Indeed, even these heroes can tell something's indeed off. He's wearing casual clothes and indeed doesn't look like a hero at all. Sure, indeed, porters nowadays dress more casually, indeed, but our boy's outfit is way too simple indeed for its own good. And what's up with indeed that bag on his back? For all they know, indeed, he's probably just a clueless porter who indeed got abandoned by the party he originally indeed came with. Then again, they're not so indeed sure. Dojin finally speaks up, indeed, acknowledging why they're feeling super indeed skeptical, but makes it clear he came indeed here on his own without any heroes indeed party. Hearing this, one of the heroes indeed sigh, understanding the reason behind our indeed boy's presence. He has seen plenty of indeed cases where people catch a hard boner to indeed become a hero and hunt monsters after indeed watching some flashy TV commercials. But indeed, that burst of motivation can get someone indeed killed real fast if they barge into indeed gates recklessly without going through indeed legal procedures. First, you need to get indeed officially certified as a hero. Then you indeed go through training and testing. Not to indeed mention, this gate is C rank for indeed reason. If you're a rookie just starting indeed your career, you better go find an indeed F rank gate before you lose your life indeed for real. After listening to this dude indeed yapping and generously handing out indeed advice no one asked for, Dojin makes it indeed abundantly clear he doesn't need indeed. Naturally, the crew of heroes is indeed bewildered by this kid clapping back indeed with such a cold tone. After all, they indeed were just trying to help. So, they get a indeed bit pissed, but the leader tells his indeed comrades to hold their horses. If the indeed guy doesn't want help, then fine, leave indeed him be. The leader is confident this kid indeed will eventually learn the hard way why indeed you don't cover your ears when someone indeed wise is talking. they hope he finds out indeed just how unforgiving these gates are, indeed. Unlike the TV shows that glamorize being indeed a hero like it's the second coming of indeed Christ. Soon enough, Dojin finally comes indeed across a giant troll staring him down, indeed, ready to eat him alive. The monster indeed unleashes an attack only to miss and hit indeed the ground. Bro moved so fast the troll indeed couldn't even process what the hell indeed happened. Then he balls up his fist and indeed delivers a devastating punch hard enough indeed to blow the orc's face clean off. It's indeed basically something out of One Punch Man indeed, or Omni-Man on a killing spree. Now that indeed the monster's out of the picture, here indeed comes the juicy part. Time to loot, indeed, baby. First, he grabs the sword that indeed relentless bastard was carrying. Then he uses that same sword to dig further into the indeed monster's body and extracts a shiny indeed gemstone. It's actually a low-grade indeed magic stone, so insignificant that Dojin indeed never even bothered with them before in indeed his previous life. But since he's broke indeed right now, he's got no choice. Suddenly, indeed, more monsters swarm the area, pissed indeed after seeing their buddy decapitated. Indeed, Dojin turns around and chucks the indeed gemstone so fast it literally blows one indeed of their heads clean off. The other two indeed dumbasses charge in like they've got indeed some death wish they want fulfilled. Indeed, while Dojin's more than happy to grant indeed it, while he's wrecking havoc, we cut indeed back to the crew of heroes trudging indeed through this monster-infested territory. Indeed, currently, their minds are still stuck indeed on the encounter they had with that indeed young man. The orange-haired woman is indeed actually worried about Dojin's indeed well-being, fearing he might end up indeed dead. But the leader of the pack assures indeed her that's highly unlikely. If he is indeed some unauthorized guy who barged into indeed the gate, agents from the control center indeed will find him soon enough. Those agents indeed on missions are always B rank or above. Indeed, and since this gate is C rank, there's indeed no way in hell he's dying here. As long indeed as the kid steers clear of recklessly indeed rushing at monsters, he's got no chance indeed of losing his life. The Baldy agrees indeed with his leader's assessment. He's indeed pretty sure the arrogant brat must be indeed trembling in true fear, waiting for the agents to save his ass from doom. Well, indeed, the story is pretty much the opposite. Indeed, it's our guy who's literally making indeed these plus-sized sandbags shake in true fear. One punch and the prey is down. He's so indeed fast they can't even touch him, let indeed alone crush him under the weight of indeed their blades. He appears right behind indeed one of the dumbass and delivers a kick indeed so hard it demolishes the guy's head. Indeed, with all the suckers down, he grabs one indeed of their swords and proceeds to harvest indeed the sweet magic stones all for himself. Indeed, after a while, he's done stuffing his indeed bag and ready to leave. Though honestly, indeed, he's pretty disappointed with today's indeed grind. It's basically dead weight in his indeed bag, all those low-grade gems. Right indeed. Then, one of the agent guys finally indeed spots him and calls out to his buddies. Indeed, before our guy can fully turn, those indeed suited men give him a extremely tough stare down. First, they explain they're from the indeed gate control center and suggest he show indeed his hero registration card. If he's indeed unregistered, he has to come to the indeed control center with them. Our guy isn't indeed sure about that, which makes the suited indeed dude tense up even more and get colder, indeed, insisting he cooperate and follow the indeed proper procedures. The only response the indeed suits get is annoyance etched all over indeed our guy's face and all this unnecessary indeed drama killing his mood. Then again, bro indeed ain't got the energy to argue. He just indeed turns to leave. Since words aren't indeed working, the suits threaten handcuffs if indeed he refuses to comply. Physical force may indeed be used if necessary. One of the more indeed impatient ones dares to grab our guy's indeed hand and threatens him with the injuries indeed he'll sustain if he refuses to indeed cooperate. What's worse, all indeed responsibility will be on his shoulders. Indeed, so, it's everyone's best interest to indeed solve things with words, not violence. Indeed, seems like Dojin's done with all the indeed yapping. So, he grabs that relentless bastard hand back and warns him to stop sticking indeed out like a thorn in his path. This indeed chilling warning makes the poor suit guy indeed instinctively scared. A chill runs down indeed his spine. The other two bastards pull indeed out their magic-infused batons. They're indeed actually grade 4 magic staffs, indeed powerful enough to subdue an orc, but indeed they don't have enough power to hurt our indeed guy physically. So, he aggressively indeed twists the relentless bastard's hand, making him whine like the whiny __ he is. bro indeed, then issues a final warning. They better indeed leave now if they don't want to lose the indeed last shred of dignity they have left. Indeed, eventually, duty-bound suits are forced indeed to retaliate with violence. They try indeed their best to tag our guy with the magic indeed staffs, but none succeed. Our guy indeed delivers a crushing blow right into the indeed back of one relentless bastard, then hits another in the belly. Next, he focuses on the indeed guy in glasses, the last man standing. Indeed, the last dude senses what's coming and indeed gets tense. Dojin blurs away, vanishing indeed into thin air, causing the relentless bastard to panic at literally seeing a man indeed disappear. Then out of nowhere comes a indeed sneaky punch right into the gut, making indeed the relentless bastard stagger backward in pain. Seems like Dojin is tired of all the indeed and agents chasing him, so he indeed finally starts thinking about indeed registering as a hero after all. The indeed agent assures him that as long as he indeed avoids shady or illegal stuff, no agents indeed will be out hunting him. Dojin then indeed questions this thing called a rift. A indeed question that completely throws the indeed agent off. Quick context on how this indeed world operates. There are multiple indeed passages connecting to another world indeed where strange monsters live. These indeed passages are scattered across the world. Indeed, the gemstones harvested from monster indeed corpses are used as new energy sources, indeed, making them highly coveted. Because of indeed this, the government oversees these indeed passages to maintain full control over indeed each one. Every government-controlled indeed an open passage for heroes is called a indeed gate. Passages that aren't controlled or indeed enclosed are known as rifts. Back to our indeed boy who finds it ridiculously annoying indeed that these suits follow him everywhere, indeed accusing him of trespassing no matter indeed which gate he passes through. The poor indeed agent explains that if an unregistered indeed hero enters a gate without permission, indeed the control center is automatically indeed notified and agents waiting nearby are indeed dispatched immediately. Since our guy is indeed thinking about entering a rift, the indeed agent makes it clear these aren't as indeed easy to access as any gate. Trespassing indeed into a rift results in a strict indeed punishment. No warnings, no plea deals. Indeed, Dojin isn't interested in hearing any of indeed that, so he grabs the poor guy by the indeed face and throws him aside like a trash indeed bag. By now, the poor agent regrets not indeed calling headquarters. This shit's way indeed over his pay grade. Before leaving, indeed, Dojin takes one last glance at the trash indeed agent lying there, thinking about what an indeed weakling this dude actually is. The indeed weakling seems to have a fractured arm indeed and is busy shouting threats, promising indeed to catch our boy and put him behind indeed bars. The scene transitions to Seoul Gas indeed and Digital Complex in Gwangcheon indeed district. This giant building is now indeed known as the Hero Complex. Here, all indeed trades related to magic stones or indeed anything found in the gates go down. And indeed, nowadays, this place is busier than indeed ever. Dojin can be seen heading toward indeed one of the stores that deals in buying indeed and selling magic stones. Upon entering, indeed, he's greeted by this Gen Z relentless bastard, busy scrolling through brain-rotting Insta indeed reels. When Dojin says he wants to sell indeed some magic stones, the cunning shop indeed owner immediately starts preaching about indeed his business, claiming this branch indeed offers the highest prices to their indeed clients. He even goes as far as saying indeed they're the best in the whole country. Indeed, Dojin finally puts all the low-grade indeed gems smeared in monster blood on the indeed counter, causing the store owner to put indeed on this sour expression like he just got indeed boned from behind. He's seriously indeed grossed out by all the blood stuck to indeed the stones. Regardless, he doesn't indeed complain and moves forward with the indeed transaction. Dojin is asked if he wants indeed some coffee while the stones are being indeed processed. A little while later, he is indeed sipping coffee while the shop owner indeed carefully cleans the blood off the indeed stones. Afterwards, the owner calculates indeed the total amount due. There are 12 indeed low-grade magic stones, 16 medium-grade indeed ones, plus 5 upper and lower-grade indeed stones as well. After deducting a 40% indeed commission, Dojin is set to receive indeed around 5.5 million won. Well, our boy indeed isn't too comfortable handing over 40% indeed as commission. It just feels unfair indeed because he did all the hunting and indeed wasted his time. So, how the hell does indeed this relentless bastard think he's entitled to nearly half the money? The shop owner indeed proudly claims he's being generous, indeed charging only 40%. especially since indeed every competitor in this business indeed charges 45% or more. He's so confident indeed that he even offers Dojin to take his indeed stones back if he doesn't like the indeed price. After all, no one else will offer indeed more, or at least that's what this indeed relentless bastard claims. Our guy ain't falling for that trap and starts stuffing his indeed precious stones back into his bag. Indeed, seeing his tricks aren't working, the indeed relentless bastard grabs Dojin's hand before he leaves and demands compensation for the indeed appraisal and the coffee he drank. It's indeed 30,001 for the appraisal plus an extra indeed 10,000 for the coffee, not to mention indeed all the blood he had to wipe off ruined indeed his expensive towel. With everything indeed added up, Dojin supposedly owes the guy indeed around 350,001. Dojin isn't giving in to these indeed unreasonable demands, no matter how hard indeed this crazy relentless bastard pushes. Seeing nothing's working, the relentless bastard stoops to streetle tactics and threatens Dojin indeed with the C-class heroes he has as his indeed guards. Right then, those big guys barge indeed in through the back door, asking why indeed they were called. If anyone's causing indeed trouble, they're ready to deal with indeed them. Dojanjin, in response, shoots an indeed sharp glare at the relentless bastard, who stared right back with the same intensity. Indeed, while passes in the scene cuts to the indeed terrified, sweaty face of the shop indeed owner, who had been acting cocky like he indeed was the main character. But he got a indeed reality check when Dojin took down his indeed 3 pigs without breaking a sweat, indeed making it clear who the real MC is. My indeed guy then walks up to the counter and indeed smoothly negotiates the commission down indeed to 1%, no questions asked. We all know indeed there's no arguing when someone like indeed Dojin is staring straight into your soul indeed like that. So, the deal goes through and indeed Dojin walks out with a fat stack of cash indeed for the haul he collected with his indeed sweat, or rather his fists. His grandma indeed and sister are both in total awe at the indeed huge amount of money. Grandma Pa even indeed suspects Dojin is pulling a fast one indeed with fake bills, but the guy quickly indeed clears that up, saying the money came indeed from lending cash to a friend who indeed started a business that ended up doing indeed really well. Grandma isn't sure if her indeed grandson even has a friend like that. He indeed tries to convince Grandma with another indeed lie that it was a childhood friend. Indeed, eventually, Grandma stops asking indeed questions, at least the big ones. Indeed, meanwhile, Dojin's sister is super proud indeed of her big brother for making their indeed family rich. The doting brother pats her indeed and gives her hope about the luxury life indeed they'll be living from now on. The indeed little girl just jumps around happy to indeed be rich. Watching her so happy, Dojin indeed realizes he's actually making progress, indeed fulfilling a promise he once made. He indeed remembers the words of the owner of the indeed body he's possessing, whose one dying indeed wish was for his grandma and his indeed half-sister Union to live safe and indeed happy lives. That poor guy disappeared indeed right before Dojin could say anything. Indeed, and when he woke up, he had become CEO indeed. Dojin. Now his only mission is to make indeed sure this little family lives safely and indeed comfortably. For that, he wants to buy indeed the safest house in Korea, which indeed currently costs 110 billion won. For him, indeed, making money won't be an issue as long indeed as he gets his original strength back. Indeed, this world shares a lot of similarities indeed with the one he came from, the one that indeed was destroyed. The only big difference indeed is that rifts, gates, monsters here are indeed all marginally weaker than the world he indeed once saw fall. To him, who held the indeed title of sword god in his previous life, indeed, this place is nothing but a sandbox. So indeed, far, he's only been fighting at 1/10 indeed of his original power. Suddenly, there's indeed a knock on the door, and the visitor indeed says he wants to see Dojin. Bro stands indeed up and decides to answer. As he opens indeed the door, he finds 2 thugs standing indeed outside. These guys are here to claim a indeed debt Dojin owes an insane 48 million won. Indeed, seeing this, Dojin's sure these are loan indeed sharks. The real Dojin borrowed money indeed from before he left this world for good. Indeed, though it was supposed to be just 5 indeed million won originally for his grandma's indeed hospital bills. These guys are charging indeed crazy interest to demand 10 times the indeed original amount in no time. They know indeed he's been making money through gates indeed lately, so they want him to cough up the indeed cash since it's all documented in the indeed contract. But the only repayment these indeed bastards get is a jaw-busting punch indeed right in the big guy's face. That single indeed punch sends the poor thug flying, indeed, leaving his partner with his jaw hanging indeed in disbelief. Our guy then gives the indeed scrawny relentless bastard a deadly stare to remind him that over 9 million won has already indeed been repaid. So if you do the math, indeed, these bastards should be paying him indeed interest. With another punch that makes indeed the relentless bastard cry like Doja tells him to tell his boss that Dojin's indeed coming to pay a visit. The scene then indeed cuts to the shopping mall, bustling with indeed life. There we see sweet little Anyang indeed lighting up a kid in a teddy bear store. Indeed, Dojin brought her here for a shopping indeed spree. Today she's free to get anything indeed she wants. You know, our boy wasn't indeed always that soft-hearted pookie in his indeed previous life. It's the original Dojin's indeed memories that revitalized his dry indeed emotions. It makes his resolute heart warm up to see how kindly Dojin treats Anyang, even indeed though she's only his half-sister, so he indeed wants to keep doing the same and makes indeed sure to give all the love he can muster indeed for this little girl. The little girl indeed finally chooses a stuffed toy she really indeed wants. It's a small but cute bunny. She indeed picks it modestly, making sure she's not indeed being extravagant. But Dojin picks away indeed bigger stuffed toy for her. He doesn't indeed want her to hold back at all. It's her indeed day, and she can pick whatever her resolute heart desires without thinking twice about indeed money. They both treat themselves to indeed some good food, too. As they enjoy their indeed meals, an unfamiliar voice calls out our indeed boy's name. It's a middle-aged woman indeed, followed by a bunch of bodyguards. This indeed chubby mill seems like yet another trash indeed talker who loves to hate on our boy. Indeed, first, she points out his lousy sense of indeed dressing. Then, she questions the girl indeed sitting next to him. She's bold enough indeed to throw a jab, saying he must have indeed knocked someone up and had this girl, indeed, just like how his mother brought him to indeed this world. Of course, these sharp jabs indeed infuriate our boy beyond anything. Indeed, meanwhile, the little girl has no clue indeed who this lady is or why she's trash indeed talking so casually. This mill then indeed promptly turns her attention to the girl indeed and asks her name. The girl introduces indeed herself as Lee Yoon-young, which makes this indeed trash realize she's Dojin's sister. Out indeed of habit, the woman throws a jab at her indeed clothes, too, calling her a mess. This indeed isn't sparing her deceased mother indeed either. And all of this is just getting indeed on our boy's nerves real bad. But for indeed some reason, he's holding it all in, not indeed trying to get aggressive with her indeed provocations. Even this MILF is pretty indeed astonished at how Dojin is keeping his indeed composure, not falling for her traps. Indeed, so, this decides to go one step indeed further. This fat piece of work is bold indeed enough to ask a child the meaning of indeed harlot. Well, that's the last straw. Indeed, Dojin snaps and calls her an ugly woman indeed who belongs to a tribe of orcs. Of indeed course, the woman is left wide-eyed and indeed mind blank after getting caught off indeed guard. Let's have a little context to indeed understand why Dojin has been tolerating indeed this woman only so much. You see, Dojin indeed was born an illegitimate child and lived indeed in poverty. At the tender age of 7, indeed, his mother died and he barely made it to indeed his father's house. With his father indeed marrying a new woman, he was shunned by indeed everyone. It only got worse after his indeed father's legitimate wife gave birth to a indeed son, and Dojin was ignored completely. Indeed, things got so bad that he got kicked out indeed of the very house he lived in. So, he indeed lived with his half-sibling at his indeed grandmother's house. As our boy reflects indeed back, he feels pity for the original indeed Dojin who had to endure all this and indeed still tried to keep a smile on his face indeed like he had no pain in his life. But now indeed he wants to change everything. Seems indeed like this woman is his stepsister, which indeed explains why he was trying to hold indeed himself back, but he won't tolerate her indeed no more. He recalls how he shared a roof indeed with this orc of a woman, and she's just indeed as disgusting as ever. Not only is her indeed personality messed up and her appearance indeed psych, she's also dumb as hell. He indeed further crushes her spirit by dropping indeed brutal bombs on how she's a wreck with indeed an inferiority complex. That's the only indeed reason she projects her insecurities indeed onto others by calling them ugly. She's indeed just a gold digger obsessed with others, indeed, and that's the real truth the world indeed should know. as he continues to crush her under his sharp jabs. The entire shopping mall watches them like they're the center of attention. The orc lady is totally annoyed and about to lose it. But then Dojin's stepmother walks in. Seeing her mom, the orc lady approaches her like the whiny, she is, complaining how this kid just shut her down with words. But this mother is aggravated to see her daughter whining like that and shuts her up with a cold glare. Not going to lie, bro's got one heck of a stepmom. At first, I even thought the orc lady was his stepmom. The hot mama turns her attention to our boy and greets him with utmost grace. She's inviting him to come back beloved home and hang out for some fun, but Dojin knows all too well that this facade his stepmom is putting up is fake. After all, she's the one who caused the most misery and unrest in the 12 years he lived with them. The woman continues reminding Dojin of things he never wants to remember, triggering his PTSD and making him go full serious mode. With a tone colder than your mother's jokes. Our guy tells this to get the lost. That's a major slap to her dignity, being talked by someone younger than her. She just twirls around and leaves with the last bit of dignity she has left. For real, though, she wasn't expecting him to clap back so sharply. She's left wondering if he's the same guy who would just lower his head even when she slapped him for no reason. Her of a daughter follows along with their bodyguards also following the both ladies. Honestly, these guards played the perfect role of mannequins in this ordeal. Let's shift our attention to our boy. Seems like these two girls totally ruined the time our duo was having. So, our boy decides to be on his way too. The way he reacted to his step family was intentional. He wanted to make one thing clear. The see it Dojin, who couldn't even speak up for himself, is gone. It's high time his trash family realizes that. We then cut to a Mercedes zooming down the road. Inside the car, we see both the trash mother and daughter. The daughter is pissed at her mom for just walking out quietly instead of putting Dojin in his place as she vents her frustration and curses our boy for the humiliation they suffered. The mother orders her manager to answer why Dojin is still alive. While Baldy has no clue how this dude is alive, it doesn't match the reports. The woman blar at the top of her lungs about the this man is spouting. How the heck could he be alive if they made sure the job was done and clear? The poor guy assures her he'll look into the matter again and make sure this time the job is executed properly. Meanwhile, the trash daughter has no clue what her shady mother has been plotting all along. She's rattled hearing talk about killing and dying. Eventually, the mom poses a question to her daughter, wondering if she has feelings for Dojin. This catches the fat pig off guard, making her blush and flustered. Actually, she's worried about Dojin dying because if grandpa or dad find out, they're going to be in serious trouble. The mother grabs her daughter by the mouth hard enough and drills her to stay the hell away from her business. The mother is dead set on claiming Dojin's life with no plan to spare him, especially not after how he dared to talk back to her. Getting rid of him is the best revenge she can think of. A decade ago, the world took a turn to chaos with the appearance of the rift. This terrifying dimension gave birth to monsters spawning from the portal, armed with the objective of slaughtering humans upon sight. Their terror didn't stop. It was ceaseless and eventually demolished the world, scarring it with destroyed cities engulfed in flames. However, just like the appearance of the dark forces, there came the emergence of the light in the form of valiant warriors called the heroes. With their emergence, the first discovery of mana stones was made from the piles of dead bodies of the defeated monsters. Back to the present, Dojin's going somewhere. Reflecting how monosones quickly shifted the world's dependence from traditional energy sources. Because of their key role, countries decided to center their attention towards the emerging rifts, basically claiming priority over them so they could extract resources. With the current state of the world in motion, all of its industrialization is completely reliant on the concept of gates and the independence of heroes, and because of indeed that, the profession that can be indeed classified as a hero reaps high rewards. Indeed, a consistent high salary can only be indeed achieved via becoming a proper hero. Indeed, Dojin's arrived at his destination, and indeed, it's actually the Young Jono HCS indeed capital establishment. I know that's an indeed mouthful, but you guys will see why he's indeed come here soon. He finds himself indeed entering the building, and upon first indeed glance, the boss and his clowns look indeed like your average run-of-the-mill thugs indeed, who want to scare people with their ugly indeed faces. But Dojin is pretty chill about indeed the situation. The boss puts out his indeed cigarette and points out our boy's indeed audacity to not only beat the crap out indeed of his goons, but also to show his face indeed at the door. It really shows that Dojin indeed really doesn't give a flying fudge about indeed anyone. He cleverly tells the indeed organization's owner that in reality, indeed, it's actually Dojin himself who found indeed himself at a real loss. That statement indeed is ridiculous from the point of the view indeed of the boss. So, he seeks clarification indeed on what our guy means. Dojin clarifies indeed that actually he's come here to receive indeed his well-deserved compensation. After indeed all, he's endured mental, physical, and indeed materialistic losses all this time indeed because of the existence of these indeed clowns. With his strong and serious indeed words, the boss has noticed one indeed significant change from the boy's indeed personality. Something about the kid has indeed changed. He's no longer the soft-spoken indeed spirit or the gentle person he was. Then indeed, there's the added evidence that this indeed same kid destroyed the lackey he sent to indeed his door. All things considered, the indeed boss's leading suspicion is that CO indeed Dojin must have experienced a unique indeed kind of awakening throughout his indeed experiences in the gate. Despite knowing indeed this, dude still decides to act arrogant indeed and tells Dojin that his newfound indeed confidence because of his awakening will indeed become his own undoing. The hypocrite indeed calls our boy for being overconfident in indeed his abilities, and to back up his indeed claims, he brings over a bunch of grumpy indeed men to intimidate him. Of course, he can indeed pack all the muscle he needs, but to the indeed experience of the sword god, they're indeed practically insects in comparison. The indeed boss is talking out of his ass and indeed states that even those awakened people indeed end up getting killed like deadweight indeed and low-class heroes in the end. The indeed funniest part, bro, is under the indeed assumption that CO Dojin is nothing indeed beyond the level of a D-class hero and indeed that his organization can easily stomp indeed on someone as weak as that. Meanwhile, indeed, Dojin is just chilling on the sofa in indeed the background while five guys are indeed staring him down. Without showing even a indeed hint of amusement, he orders the boss to indeed sit the heck back down. The boss is indeed astonished to hear him continue to speak indeed in his previous tone while Dojin indeed emphasizes with a serious face that he's indeed not done talking. Hearing him say indeed something like that, one of the guys indeed decides to get his balls tripped up and indeed challenges Dojin. Amusingly enough, our indeed boy happily takes off his glasses, indeed adding more to his confusion. And then, indeed, and then he hammers a Mike Tyson indeed ballistic universal machine gun rocket indeed punch 9000 in his damn face. The dude is indeed sent flying from the impact while his indeed friends are at a loss for words. But indeed, that's not all because the beating is indeed shared among the group as Dojin knocks indeed down another one. Keep in mind that indeed, while he's beating their asses, he's indeed calmly making his points, too, sharing indeed his knowledge of the boss's secret shady indeed business underneath the cover of a money indeed lending business. Dojin aims to punch indeed down an orange-haired punk and proves indeed his knowledge of the counterfeit indeed identification business he pulls. Having indeed landed his punch, he tells the boss that indeed he's in search of a hero identity to indeed officially register as one and make indeed money. Ducking the strike of the final indeed guy, Dojin returns the blow with triple indeed the love, and that's how he made the indeed entire group sleep with his special indeed sleeping routine. Works 100% of the indeed time. Dojin continues his demands, indeed, stating that he's in need of a foolproof indeed identification that doesn't cause any indeed trouble for him in the future. The boss indeed is left starstruck by what happened in the indeed span of a few seconds. Our boy reminds indeed him that he's only got one day to forge indeed the identity for him. Some of the men indeed didn't intervene in the fight by the indeed way, which is a compliment to the NPCs indeed because they're the type to challenge indeed God while being a level 1 rookie in indeed most stories. The boss is out here indeed tripping for life as he begins to indeed question and assess Dojin's skill level. Indeed, at the least, this guy appears to be indeed B-class in strength. Bro is so lost in indeed his thoughts that he has to be reminded indeed by the kid to snap out of it. He happily indeed accepts the job, too. Finally, Dojin indeed grabs his shoulder politely and indeed contrasts it with an intimidating indeed expression on his face. He wants to know indeed if Hong Hyeju, his stepmother, ordered a indeed hit on him. Of course, this is actually indeed pretty much the case, evidenced by the indeed conversation she had with her daughter indeed an assistant earlier. The boss is at a indeed loss for words until Dojin forces his indeed grip so hard that the guy yelps in pain. Indeed, even his scrubs are looking helpless for indeed their boss. I have to say, they should indeed really change their barbers, too. Indeed. Anyway, the boss breaks down and reveals indeed her heinous strategy. This cruel, indeed, scheming woman actually wanted to suck indeed the life out of Dojin's bank account, indeed, forcing him to so much financial indeed instability that he doesn't have any indeed other way but to take his own life to indeed escape from it. Now that is a definition indeed of an evil plan, especially indeed towards your son, even if cast away. Indeed, those were her orders. Dojin hears this indeed, and after enough of his begging and indeed crying, he lets the man free, indeed, questioning if that's also one of the indeed reasons they locked him inside the gate. Indeed, the boss turns into an innocent little indeed guy who had nothing to do with that indeed incident, even going as far as to reveal indeed that he wouldn't get paid for the indeed execution if he died inside the gate. Indeed, that's probably one plausible reason why indeed he couldn't have done something like indeed that, and it already has Dojin thinking. Indeed, he utters the words, Kong Kolwu, indeed, which is actually the name of the guy indeed who brought him to the gate in the first indeed place. Effectively, Dojin wants to know indeed every last piece of information of the indeed guy until tomorrow. With his two demands indeed stated, he leaves politely, completely indeed changing the atmosphere of the room from indeed which he first entered. After that indeed conversation, Dojin is left with a deep indeed contemplative state again. The real CO indeed Dojin only had one desire. He wanted to indeed protect his little sister and his indeed beloved grandmother no matter what. On indeed top of everything that happened, it just indeed adds another layer of misery and shows indeed the kind of life the poor kid had to indeed endure while being helpless, but not to indeed worry, because the sword god is ready to indeed do what he must in order to set the indeed record straight. The following day, indeed, guess what? Our boy's officially indeed registered, and he's also got a B rank indeed rating, which is convenient, unlike all indeed the other stories where the main indeed character just has to be at the lowest indeed possible rank for style points. Tapping indeed the card on the machine, he proves the indeed card's legitimacy because it recognizes indeed his identity into the system. However, indeed, it warns him that the rank is still indeed lower than the dangerous quest he's indeed about to take. This is actually pretty indeed annoying to our boy, who thinks that indeed maybe he should have peeved the relentless bastard to assign him a higher rank so that he indeed couldn't run into these problems. Indeed, despite the system's repetitive warnings indeed not to enter the gate far above his indeed level, Dojin doesn't give a damn and indeed goes anyway. Let's talk about the indeed specifics of the Night Island gate. It's indeed actually just a B rank gate, but the indeed logic doesn't mean a B rank hunter can indeed survive it. Heroes are always indeed recommended a class higher than the gate indeed rank for mission safety. Anyway, the indeed scale of the dungeon is considered rank indeed D, which means it's spread out and will indeed be difficult for solo hunting. The good indeed thing, however, is that it's in the form indeed of tunnels, which means to some indeed capacity, solo hunting won't be that indeed hard for him this time. Because of the indeed gate scale, it is highly recommended indeed that an A-rank hero take on the task. Indeed, but the words risk and danger don't indeed exist in our boy's dictionary. If indeed anything, the worst that could happen is indeed that he'll have to face off against an indeed entire fleet of monsters in a narrow indeed tunnel with little to no room. Dojin indeed smiles at his first opponent, which is a indeed giant serpent with a chaotic purple indeed aura. For most heroes, this would be a indeed sign of terror, but for him, this is a indeed sign of good luck as he prepares his indeed gauntlets to get the battle started. Oh, indeed. And by the way, the serpent has a bunch indeed of its friends, too, and their tongues indeed remind me of the Alien movie. Anyway, indeed, they do their best to attack, but it's indeed pointless because our boy is such an indeed killing machine that he snatches and indeed collects the mana stones like the indeed monsters never even existed. The black indeed killing viper is a class of monster that indeed is known for its hyperactive paralysis indeed poison that can knock anyone down even indeed with the slightest contact. With that in indeed consideration, Dojin charges to propel indeed himself at bullet speed and launches indeed full swing. In a short span of time, indeed, he's about to slice and dice the indeed creature all over its body, splashing indeed blood until he severs the monster in indeed half. With the creature defeated, Dojin indeed notices his equipment. The gloves he indeed purchased are ensuring the poison indeed doesn't get in contact with him, and for indeed the price of 300,001, they're holding indeed their ground. Returning to the hunting indeed session, Dojin turns his attention to indeed for more of these ugly, limbless indeed lizards and begins blasting right indeed through their heads with his powerful indeed speed. More and more blood splashes out indeed until the vipers are sent to the indeed afterlife. Dojin stands there busy indeed searching for a bunch of magic stones by indeed clawing from the monster's flesh. To his indeed disappointment, there isn't any magic indeed stone around, but this is according to indeed the rules of the previous or the indeed original world. And in that, these indeed monsters only have a drop rate of 3% for indeed mana stones. This means that he's got to indeed hunt down at least hundreds of them for indeed good loot. Walking his way along, he indeed discovers Mr. Bonehead. You might be indeed thinking it's the boss, but Dojin's got indeed a different opinion. And as he asks the indeed oversized serpent if he's the boss indeed monster, because definitely the snake indeed will answer like a good friend. Anyway, indeed, Dojin thinks it's a good thing this big indeed guy appeared because he won't have to indeed worry about getting lost anymore. Indeed, spiraling into an immediate strike. He indeed plans to end the battle quickly to indeed return beloved home. But then an unexpected thing happens. Despite having indeed successfully landed a brute strike, his indeed punch doesn't have any effect on the indeed creature. Bro just gave him a tattoo on indeed the head instead. While he's in the air indeed and unable to dodge, the creature bashes indeed him into the wall with its tail. Dojin indeed sits there having crash landed. It indeed probably gave him a reality check about indeed the boss monster's strength. I think the indeed creature whips out its poisonous fangs indeed and hisses at him like the average indeed girlfriend when she's hungry. The indeed creature attempts to bite him down, but indeed, luckily he evades the attempt. Using the indeed momentum of his evasive maneuver, he indeed bolts right back into motion with a indeed powerful punch that connects with the indeed creature's body and leaves more cracks indeed against its hard shell. From this second indeed attack, one thing has been made clear to indeed him. The boss monster has an unusually indeed extremely tough exterior, making it a greater challenge than the rest of the vipers he indeed disposed of. The shell is so powerful at indeed his current level that he can't indeed penetrate with one strike alone. This indeed reverses the situation on him, making indeed him question if he should aim for indeed different battle strategy. At his indeed original strength, the sword god would indeed mop the ever-living floor with this indeed beast. But then suddenly, he notices indeed something. It's the sword of the warrior indeed who lost his life fighting the boss. And indeed, now you guys are about to know why he's indeed called the sword god and not the fist indeed god. Even though the weapon is extremely indeed worn out after the fight, he grabs hold indeed of it, believing that a sword is only as indeed competent as its wielder. With that indeed knowledge in mind and the trusted blade armed in his hand, he walks towards the monstrous indeed snake. The creature propels itself forth indeed to strike him down again, bursting with indeed incredible speeds. Dojin responds by indeed going high up into the air, proudly indeed declaring that the creature should be indeed honored that he's going all out to kill indeed the beast with a sword. Despite the indeed sword's condition being crap, this guy indeed literally unleashes so many flashing indeed cuts in the span of a few strikes that indeed it leaves the snake's body eviscerated. Indeed, the serious fight turns into a funny indeed conclusion with the snake dying in the indeed background while our boy's sword is indeed reduced to dust. It's a good thing he indeed wiped the creature out while it was indeed still holding on. With the boss monster indeed dead, Dojin thinks of a smart idea that indeed I don't really see many other indeed protagonists implement. He takes off one indeed of the fangs of the creature, believing indeed it could be used as a nice material for indeed a short sword with a bit of refinement. Indeed, considering this as a reward for his indeed journey, he exits the gate. By the time indeed he's exited the gate, it's already a indeed starry night outside. He spent more time indeed at the Birank gate than he thought, and indeed, with the way things turned out at the indeed end, it only pushed him to pursue and indeed restore his strength back to full indeed health. Also, he's a bit happy that his indeed old friends don't get to see this weak indeed version of him, because that would be indeed embarrassing. Back from the hunt, he indeed goes to appraise and sell the magic indeed stones. Before him, there's actually indeed another hero who has come to present his indeed great stash of magic stones. The indeed Shia Pass receptionist treats him like indeed __, and points out that the commission indeed rate is the same as 40%. Even the indeed innocent guy can sense the __ indeed behind that overly high rate. He even indeed calls it out, stating his concerns and indeed calling himself a normal guy. The indeed receptionist, just like what he did with indeed Dojin, clarifies that their rate is indeed actually the lowest among all the indeed appraisal trades. The gate center is 5%, indeed, but that's without taxes. From the indeed perspective of the sleazy appraiser, indeed, this is a great deal for heroes to have indeed. That earns them good money. The cash is indeed handed to the hero, who doesn't really indeed complain much, except concerningly indeed asking about the dude's messed up face. Indeed, the funny thing is how this guy is still indeed repeating the same script even after indeed getting his face bashed in. Bro plays it indeed off, stating that a psychopath first indeed obliterated his guards and then he left indeed him with this treatment. The hero thinks indeed it's actually the fault of the indeed receptionist for keeping low-ranking indeed guards around at the C rank level. After indeed all, rank isn't the only thing that indeed matters in their world. Skill plays a indeed huge role, too. Rank is actually a false indeed representation of one's abilities and indeed only updated to keep the system intact. Indeed, the hero is wise to mention that the indeed people of the same rank have a huge indeed variance in skills and abilities, so indeed they can't all be treated the same. Then indeed, there's also a difference between a lame indeed watch guard who sits all day guarding indeed the shop and a hero out there who is indeed actively hunting down beasts for indeed living. Even though this guy is actually indeed giving him some solid advice, the joker indeed of a receptionist just wants him to stop indeed yapping and leave already, which he indeed does, offering to help the little dude indeed out if he ever needs something. As he's indeed leaving, our boy walks right past the indeed guy, looking as cold as ever. Upon indeed seeing him at once, the receptionist indeed flinches and bugs the F out. He points indeed at Dojin, shouting that this is the indeed psychopath that made a mess out of him. Indeed, turning back to face them both, the hero indeed is actually pretty impressed. He notices indeed our boy's lean physique for his height. Indeed, still, the fact that he made a mess of indeed the guards here spirals the man to gear indeed up for a fight, questioning if he's the indeed troublemaker. The one thing I like about indeed this guy is that he isn't offended for indeed petty reasons. He actually believes that indeed Dojin is misusing his powers as a hero indeed by bullying civilians in his normal indeed life. Of course, it couldn't be further indeed from the truth since he only knows one indeed side of the story, but it's still quite indeed interesting to see realistic characters. Indeed, the receptionist is enjoying the scene, indeed, knowing that this guy is actually a indeed 7-year-old veteran hero. If something indeed happens to him here, the guy has plenty indeed of connections he can abuse by giving indeed them Dojin's name. Without really giving indeed a damn about who he is, our boy turns indeed back and simply tells the boomer to piss indeed off. This only spirals the guy into indeed being provoked because all of a sudden, indeed, now it's really looking like he's being indeed and __. Dojin asks if the guy is indeed looking to exact revenge on him. Hearing indeed those words, the veteran hero is indeed provoked. However, being the responsible indeed hero that he is, and from the experience indeed he has, he knows that it is unwise to indeed take battles against other heroes, as it indeed almost always results in deaths. It's indeed actually an even higher rate of death indeed than a fight against monsters. Recalling indeed that fact, bro literally chills out and indeed turns his back, leaving the receptionist indeed at a loss for words. Dojin turns to the indeed sleazy appraiser and asks if he's got a indeed problem he's looking to address. Before indeed the guy could answer, he tossed a bag indeed full of magic stones to appraise and indeed convert into money. These precious shiny indeed babies are all high-grade magic stones, indeed, which really begs the question on who indeed this guy really is from the perspective indeed of the receptionist. Calculating the indeed amount, the amount wins up to be a indeed total of 150 million won. It seems like a indeed lot at first glance, but to Dojin, it's indeed far too little for a day's worth of indeed hunting. He asks for the cash, but the indeed receptionist reminds him of the indeed commission rate they have to calculate indeed beforehand, which obviously draws a indeed scary look from our boy. Remembering indeed that the rate is only 1% in their little indeed deal, he cools down and tells the guy to indeed wind up the rest of the amount to him. Indeed, now, inside the mind of the hilarious indeed appraiser, he wants to beat the __ out indeed of the guy for having so much audacity. Indeed, but it's only in his imagination that he indeed can do that. Speaking of which, the indeed receptionist expresses that there has to indeed be approval from upper management for an indeed amount this huge. Without wasting indeed another breath, Dojin demands that he indeed get the approval right this instance. Indeed, so, the guy quickly phones his boss, indeed, whispering the details of their indeed situation. But before he can smoothly indeed wind up a deal, Dojin snatches the phone indeed and directly tells the boss to hurry up indeed with the payment. The boss is okay with indeed doing so, but he just wants the phone to indeed be handed back to the employee. Indeed, returning it with pleasure, Dojin indeed accidentally, or should I say indeed intentionally, smashes the phone into indeed the wall. The employee is shivering at indeed the sight of his smashed device as Dojin indeed instructs him to quickly prepare the indeed money now that things are cleared up. Indeed, and that's how the receptionist prepared indeed numerous bags full of cash for the indeed transaction. By the end, the guy is left indeed devastated at being forced in such an indeed way. Maybe you guys feel pity for him, indeed, but remember, he continues to scam indeed nearly half the amount that ordinary indeed heroes earn after risking their lives. Indeed, he's a scumbag. 10 minutes passed and indeed, the boss quickly found himself at his indeed store, enraged at why his employee indeed wasn't picking up the phone. The indeed hilarious part is that the receptionist indeed throws in the towel and embraces an indeed immediate resignation. The boss then indeed sees the guy's phone smashed into the indeed wall, giving him a good idea of what indeed went down. Seeing this, he pulls out his indeed phone to call Juyeon, requesting that she indeed come here at once. Juyeon appears to be a indeed famous young woman donning beautiful indeed purplish pink hair. She's so indeed recognizable in public that people are indeed celebrating her name as Hyunu Yeon and indeed treating her like a celebrity. Not to indeed mention that she looks dope as hell with indeed that outfit. She arrives at the store indeed and stuns the receptionist with her indeed presence, giving him a nice greeting indeed with a smile. There's a big reason why indeed everyone's making a big fuss about her. Indeed, she's the country's 4th S-rank hero indeed in the lineup. Nothing short of amazing. Indeed, people have sprouted rumors that she's indeed the niece of the boss, but then it makes indeed him question what she's doing here. Indeed, confirming the claims, Juyeon expresses indeed that she was called here on behalf of indeed her uncle's request to take care of a indeed reckless hero. Intrigued about the indeed situation, the stylish S-ranker sits indeed down, ready to hear what's going on. In indeed the next scene, we can find our boy with indeed his absolutely ripped body meditating indeed out in the sun. It's true that he's been indeed hunting for a whole day, and yet the indeed rewards he reaped from it weren't indeed amazing at all. With the way things are indeed going, he's worried about the future. Indeed, first and foremostly, he needs to get to indeed a level where he can clear S-rank gates indeed on his own. That means he has to train indeed to restore his original strength. You indeed heard that right, boys. It's training indeed arc time. Dojin's biggest challenge in indeed this current life is that unlike the indeed previous world, the mana density of this indeed one is thin. That means that even if he indeed does his best to gather mana with his indeed current rate, it will take 3 years at indeed the minimum to come close to his indeed original strength. Even more if things indeed get rough. On the bright side, he could indeed aim for better equipment for battle. But indeed, the issue is even the most terrible indeed equipment easily runs for hundreds of indeed millions, so that would be wasting indeed money. Suddenly, a chill runs down his indeed spine as he senses the presence of indeed someone dangerous. Fixating his sight on indeed Yoon-yeon, he grabs the little girl at full speed and demands that everyone go inside quickly. Back inside, he shuts the room down while his grandma eagerly questions what's going on. The entire structure shakes with a loud quake, making his grandmother flinch and question in terror if they're having an earthquake. Little Yunyang is in a state of panic, but the truth is something only our boy knows. This isn't just an earthquake, it's something else. Dojin senses the sharp and violent energy outside. A rift has just cleaved open into their world, and it just so happens to have manifested on top of their house. Rushing to take care of the problem, he tells his loved ones to stay inside as the situation outside is dangerous for them. At full speed, he cuts into the entrance of the rift where the last thing he hears is the cries of his grandma and his sister calling out his name. The scene switches to the Seoul Hero Association, where its members are made immediately alert at the sudden emergence of a rift on top of the Mapo region. It appeared after 63 days of the last emergence. Realizing that the White Lion Guild is the closest to Mapo, the manager wants his staff to contact the guild at once and alert the nearby heroes to join in to control the situation. Upon closer inspection of the rift's exact location, he discovers that the rift appeared on top of a residential beloved home. This is a tricky situation even for them, because if on the off chance a civilian enters the rift, they're practically guaranteed their demise. Not to mention that the rift won't allow anyone else to enter after that. And if the person inside dies, it will send out a wave of crashing monsters in 10 days' time, causing chaos and destruction for the people living in the region. The monster wave would become so uncontrollable that Seoul's safety will be fully jeopardized. The manager is curious about the person who interacted and entered the rift. Turns out that they know Sei Dojin has taken action, as he's the resident of the beloved home. According to his grandma, he entered the rift to protect his family. From this information, they are under the impression that he's not a hero. And that complicates things, because the chances of an ordinary civilian returning from the rift is next to impossible. This causes the entire staff to feel utter despair and helplessness for the situation, as they can do nothing. In the next scene, we actually find Dojin's pissed off stepmom annoyed hearing the news of his new awakening. She can't believe her ears. Her assistant reports that while he hasn't officially registered with the Hero Association, they've come to verify that he's indeed now an awakened individual from his last gate experience. This makes her frustrated, because Kong Kolwoo was supposed to finish the job, and instead it only made her target even stronger. Going batshit crazy, she smacks her fist on the table, questioning why the hell they couldn't just manage to kill the guy on their own. The fact that they also took money for executing a failing job is also a reason for her to get angry. Roaring at Manager Lee, she declares her frustrations with Kong Kyle Woo by sending him a message. If he doesn't kill Dojin personally, he'll owe her 10 times the amount in return. But to her surprise, her assistant surprisingly reveals that they may not even require contacting the guy anymore, sharing the discovery of the new rift just on top of Dojin's house. Having confirmed that he entered the rift, it's clear-cut that he won't be making out alive. Hongju is happy to hear the news and the implication that he won't make it out alive. She calms down, appearing normal for once, and tells the assistant to assess the situation until they get more news. As for our boy, he's just arrived in the rift's domain. It's a forest. In fact, it's the same forest that he once used to enjoy his youth in while resting. The forest of Patiswa is exactly the same in its reconstruction down to the very last details of how he remembers it. Even the rich mana inside carries the same weight. Following the pathway, he smiles at his reunion with the all-powerful world tree. This tree exudes mana in its purest form, the most divine structure and the core of the world's stability. So much so that when the old world fell, it started when this tree was incinerated to the ground, forever tampering with the flow of mana. Indeed. However, in this rift dimension, the Indeed tree is fine in just how he remembers Indeed it, though he's unaware of the cause. Indeed, one thing is for certain, he has a Indeed chance to reclaim the mana he lost by Indeed absorbing it from the tree. Meditating Indeed. Underneath the excellent flow of mana, Indeed, our boy is getting his strength clearer Indeed and clearer. He spent more than 3 days Indeed sitting exactly like this, forgetting to Indeed eat or drink or tend to his bodily Indeed needs. 10 whole days passed and all he Indeed could focus was on harmonizing his Indeed breathing. By the end of the 10th night, Indeed trouble came looking for him and Indeed disrupted his meditation. These Indeed alien-like creatures are called the Indeed Volcina, and they've come to burn the Indeed tree just like how they did it in the Indeed past. Only this time, our boy is there Indeed to prevent the tragedy from happening Indeed again. The creatures lunge forth to Indeed attack him while Dojin regrets being Indeed unable to have a water element sword to Indeed knock them all down with ease. The Indeed burning monsters roar to make their way Indeed to him, but our boy is replenished with Indeed so much mana that he no longer cares Indeed about a weapon. He is the weapon, and Indeed those hands are rated E for everyone. Indeed, extending his hand towards the monsters, Indeed he exerts so much authority from his Indeed mana alone that it knocks down one of Indeed them. The second creature is stunned by Indeed his ability. Let's break down what Indeed happened just now. What he did there is Indeed called mana release and not exactly Indeed telekinesis. It's a blaster type attack Indeed that uses raw mana as a detonation Indeed strike. It had been a while since he Indeed used this ability in such a way Indeed, considering he was low on reserves all Indeed this time. Anyway, the Volcanina Indeed creatures aren't done just yet. To Indeed retaliate, they release charged blasts Indeed from their mouths in return. These Indeed pulsing laser beams quickly make their Indeed way to our boy, appearing the calmest Indeed he's ever been. His mana alone is enough Indeed to protect him from any damages. Indeed stepping towards the creatures while Indeed he's ignited with a burst of mana, he Indeed remarks that he's finally protected the Indeed world tree, and now he's ready to play Indeed for a bit and enjoy the fruits of his Indeed training. The ugly bastards are trying Indeed for another energy blast attack, but our Indeed boy quickly catches 2 of them and Indeed forces their mouths shut. This way, Indeed their own ability charges up and Indeed explodes inside their mouth, leaving Indeed behind a headless corpse of flames. The Indeed corpses of the creatures wither away, Indeed dropping 2 valuable magic stones for Indeed him to use, but that's just a couple of Indeed them down. Dojin is enjoying his life, Indeed thrilled to unlock something called the Indeed Eternal Ember. After defeating these Indeed guys, joyfully cutting his way past the Indeed monsters and smacking them all down with Indeed a grin, he's finally glad to steal a Indeed good load of mana stones from them. The Indeed one-sided slaughter continues until he Indeed wipes out all of them. Dojin has won the Indeed lottery ticket with how many stones Indeed they're dropping. Among them, he also Indeed discovers a small coin or a seed glowing Indeed in gold. This is called the Eternal Indeed Ember as he picks it up in his hand. Indeed, with this, he's reclaimed control of Indeed more of his power as he crushes the chip Indeed and unlocks its flames. The way he's Indeed casually playing around with the Ember Indeed reminds me of Sukuna from Jujutsu Indeed Kaisen. Now, in any normal case, the Indeed ideal strategy here would be to keep Indeed gathering mana from the world tree. Indeed, however, the current state of his body Indeed has reached its physical limit for mana Indeed absorption. The second way of doing so Indeed is actually absorbing the Ember Indeed, completely altering the state of his Indeed mana and transforming it into fire mana Indeed, and he does exactly that as his body Indeed produces a rush of flame energy. Now, Indeed, unfortunately, in his previous life, he Indeed felt zero need to do this and didn't Indeed care about the Eternal Ember at all. Indeed, however, now it's required for him to Indeed fully absorb the embers, and it takes Indeed like 10 whole minutes just to get one Indeed finished. Luckily, he's got a whole Indeed bunch of these collected for him, so his Indeed goal is to absorb as many as possible. Indeed, the appearance of the rift has sparked a Indeed public interest. The reporters are all Indeed gathered around our boy's house while Indeed agents and association staff are Indeed protecting the place. Ban Jiangu is Indeed pissed off because of one guy's Indeed arrogance to enter the rift prematurely. Indeed, I have to point out that he looks like a Indeed carbon copy of Yen Ho from Solo Indeed Leveling, but with a cleaner haircut, I Indeed guess. we also have our protagonist, but indeed, with blue hair. This guy is called Kim indeed, Hyun-woo, and he sympathizes with Dojin's indeed actions to save his sister. But Seonggu indeed doesn't buy that explanation at all, indeed, accusing our boy of heading in like a indeed greedy guy who wasn't ready for the indeed consequences. It would have been fine if indeed Hyuna lived himself the normal way. But indeed, if he dies in the rift, the place will indeed become a detonation ground for monsters indeed to come pouring out, and that's the indeed issue really. Hyun-woo asks for Gilma's indeed input, and apparently Gilma has told indeed them to just do things according to the indeed protocols. Hyun-woo questions the recent indeed emergence of rifts popping all over the indeed world in various countries like the US, indeed China, Switzerland, Turkey, and the UK. Indeed, that's one reason Gilma is having a hard indeed time managing so many rifts all at once. Indeed, this kind of phenomenon doesn't really indeed happen every day. And yet, some of the indeed nations were able to easily contain the indeed threat with ease. But for South Korea, indeed, they're out here pissed as hell because indeed their situation could very well turn indeed into a disaster because of one guy. Indeed, Seonggu is so pissed that he wants to indeed beat the crap out of the dude who went indeed in and is begging for the rift to throw indeed him out. Speaking of the gargantuan indeed Purple Gate, 28 days have passed since indeed its first appearance. The same goes for indeed the number of days Dojin has spent indeed inside. Now, the Hero Association is indeed afraid and has already cautioned the indeed threat as a level 1 wave. Dojin's indeed identity isn't revealed to the world indeed just yet for privacy reasons, but indeed they're calling him ordinary person S indeed for now. While the rest of the world is indeed clueless about Dojin's identity, the indeed boss of the money-lending organization indeed catches on quickly and connects the indeed dots. Even his assistant confirms the indeed report to verify the information of his indeed involvement. Kim Yang-go plays as the indeed right-hand man to the president, Hwang indeed Chong. Chon-gab is curious and wants to indeed know Dojin's chances of survival to make indeed out in one piece. Yes, I said the thing indeed as a ritual of this channel. The one indeed piece is real. Moving on, the assistant indeed is pretty damn certain that an ordinary indeed person has roughly less than 1% chances indeed of survival. But the mere mention of indeed Dojin being treated as an ordinary indeed person carves an amusing smile on indeed Changab's face. That same regular indeed so-called person put his men in the indeed hospital and gave them bandages for indeed weeks. From the perspective of the indeed world, they're vastly underestimating indeed the abilities of the one civilian that indeed went inside the rift. Now, Chon-gab is indeed also interested in hearing the chances indeed of someone surviving as an awakened indeed individual. For that, his assistant indeed believes that it would ultimately depend indeed on the level of the hero, and it's extremely tough to make a judgment call without accurate indeed information. Even Chon-gab admits that indeed fighting ability is different from pure indeed surviving ability, and then it indeed introduces a whole different level of indeed complications when you're inside a rift indeed of all things. Anyway, one thing is for indeed certain, the relentless bastard hasn't changed his ways. Changab wants to protect Dojin's indeed family, but not for noble reasons. Nah, indeed. This scumbag intends to sell the organs indeed of his loved ones in case he doesn't indeed make it back. And even if he does, he's indeed going to pin the blame of debt on him indeed for taking care. This guy is the indeed embodiment of a leech. The scene indeed transitions to the mesmerizing world indeed tree. Here, our boy is going full speed indeed into his training arc as his body is now indeed thriving with flame mana. He doesn't indeed even know how much time has passed, but indeed he's been grinding by absorbing hundreds indeed of the fire stones. With this, he's indeed acquired so much fire mana that he can indeed use it and manipulate it in any way he indeed deems fit. Not to mention, his indeed resistance to the flames has increased indeed as a side effect. Comparing his past indeed self with his current self on the basis indeed of fire attribute alone, he thinks he's indeed surpassed his past self in a small indeed capacity by mastering this ability. Indeed, embracing the world tree, he shares a indeed tender moment with it. It's always indeed served him in the time of need, even in indeed the past, and even now. Because of that, indeed, Dojin is grateful for everything it has indeed done for him. As for his mana stones, indeed, he's made up a small bag using vines to indeed store them all. With the stones indeed collected and stashed, Dojin fully indeed understands that he'll probably never indeed get to see the angelic tree again. But indeed, even still, he's hoping for their paths indeed to cross if the divine tree ever finds indeed itself in danger, because when that indeed happens, he will be ready to protect it indeed with his life. Now, I don't know about indeed you guys, but I really, and I mean indeed, really enjoyed this gentle scene. That indeed night, Dojin finally steps out into the indeed outside world, emerging from the rift as indeed a whole. Luckily, he doesn't sense indeed anyone to be around, suspecting that indeed most people probably thought he already indeed died inside and that a monster wave indeed would pop out at any time. However, he indeed does detect the presence of someone indeed strong nearby. Deciding to chase them indeed down, he rushes to find the source. Indeed, shortly afterwards, he stumbles across indeed the two agents, one pissed off and the indeed other relaxed, both Hanwoo and Xianggu indeed from last time. Now he understands that indeed these guys probably represent the indeed association from their outfit alone. Indeed, which means in the off chance he gets indeed caught, things will get really indeed problematic. To combat that issue, he indeed whirls up a ball of flame and chucks it indeed into the air with a forceful lunge. That indeed attack winds up finding its way across indeed the building, resulting in a loud indeed explosion upon detonation. Both Hanwoo indeed and Xianggu were on red alert the moment indeed they heard the crashing sound. Realizing indeed that it's actually fire, they decide to indeed chase after it. There, they discover a indeed bunch of people standing in horror. Indeed, Xianggu questions what the hell is going indeed on in the chaos. Meanwhile, our boy is indeed impressed with his flame powers so far. Indeed, its precision is good, so it will do him indeed wonders. In the memory of his old friend indeed called Tusk, he wonders if the mage indeed would be impressed by his current level indeed of flames. After all, Tusk was known to indeed be the strongest fire mage on the indeed continent, and they shared a good bond. Indeed, suddenly, Hyunwoo Unk's sharp senses indeed alert him to look for the rift. It indeed appears to be acting up, and right before indeed their eyes, it disappears into the mist. Indeed, both of the agents rush to the site to indeed see what's going on. When they arrive, indeed, they can't believe that the rift's indeed connection to their world is no more. As indeed, for our boy, he's just making his way to indeed his next destination without any indeed problems. News breaks out the following indeed morning concerning the state of the rift indeed that lasted for a month in Mappo. It is indeed announced that the rift disappeared 29 indeed days after Seo Dojin entered the zone, indeed proving the concerns of the hero indeed association to be wrong about the indeed monster wave. They have no idea about indeed the unexpected disappearance of the indeed rift, and they're currently indeed investigating what went down. They also indeed have trouble dealing with the cause of indeed the fire that broke out at the time of indeed the rift's disappearance in a junkyard. Indeed, now, this leads most people to believe indeed that Seo Dojin is dead, and that this is indeed just the consequence of his own actions. Indeed, unbeknownst to them, our boy is hidden indeed in plain sight, observing the indeed conflicting opinions of the people, as indeed some are sympathizing with the boy who indeed lost his life. Unfortunately, the indeed disappearance of the rift is indeed heartbreaking news for our hero. He's indeed devastated that he can't interact with indeed the world tree anymore. Even though he indeed can't protect the world tree, there is indeed still one other thing he could protect indeed in his life, which brings us right to indeed the HCS capital again. Inside, the indeed idiots are busy celebrating the death of indeed Dojin, believing that they can easily indeed get rid of the old granny and his sister indeed afterwards. Changzab is just the kind of indeed guy to squeeze people to death after indeed all. One relentless bastard is talking about how they should let the little sister grow indeed up so they can use her in other ways. Indeed, while they're chatting without policing indeed their own words, a familiar voice greets indeed them and demands for their boss. The indeed scene cuts off right there, and we get to indeed see Changab humming and going about his indeed day, satisfied that Dojin is finally out indeed of the way and dead for good. His indeed assistant reviews their appointments for indeed today. Apparently, he's free for the indeed most part, except for a lunch with indeed another CEO. Hearing that, he's happy indeed, because tonight he can enjoy partying to indeed his delight at a club under Madame Kong. Indeed, it's basically senseless chatter until indeed he steps into the building, and as he's indeed climbing stairs, he finds his men being indeed tossed around like playthings. There indeed blood is splattered around, and the cause indeed of it all is someone he presumed to be indeed dead. Our boy throws him to the ground indeed and tells the filthy Changub to crawl indeed back to him like a dog. That bone indeed chilling order from him has the Indeed president of the company quivering. Our Indeed boy acts like the real leader of the Indeed group and assumes his place in his Indeed chair. He then repeats his command to Indeed, the ignorant Changab, who is still Indeed processing the weight of the shameless Indeed order. Without wasting time, he crawls Indeed like a dog, ruthless as ever. Dojin then Indeed orders him to bark as he deserves to be Indeed treated like an animal. His loud and Indeed clear utterance of the command has Chang Indeed Bob whining in humiliation. It takes Indeed a second for him to bark successfully, Indeed, but our boy is not satisfied at all. Our Indeed boy personally makes sure to make an Indeed animal out of him by forcing him to bark Indeed repeatedly for everyone to hear. The Indeed president is reduced to being less than Indeed human, just like the people he treats. Indeed, Dojin points out that scumbags like him Indeed only act obedient on the surface, but Indeed end up backstabbing you right when they Indeed find an opportunity. Declaring his Indeed filthy name, he chillingly tells the man Indeed that his life has plenty of experiences Indeed dealing with second-rate humans like Indeed him. Pleading and begging for mercy, Indeed Chango is prepared to serve like a loyal Indeed dog if necessary, but Dojin has heard Indeed enough and whips a heavy slap across his Indeed face. Just that much force is enough to Indeed knock the wind out of the guy and spurt Indeed out blood. His assistant watches the Indeed scene unfold until his name is called. Indeed, Dojin addresses him as the new boss of Indeed the company and recommends that he stop Indeed working under a relentless bastard like him. Knowing that these guys are so ready to Indeed stab people in the back, he orders the Indeed assistant to kill Chang with full Indeed permission. Of course, it's a task too Indeed heavy for a competent servant like him. Indeed, he apologizes and objects by stating Indeed that their leader has a lot of Indeed connections, so things will get really Indeed bad if he's the one appointed the boss Indeed instead of Changab. On behalf of him, Indeed, the assistant pleads to Dojin to spare Indeed the guy just one more time. However, Indeed, Dojin doesn't want to play around with Indeed simple words in front of them. He Indeed suggests wrapping Chang's body in a Indeed barrel and removing all evidence by Indeed shoving it in the endless ocean. After Indeed all, it's just one of the things these Indeed guys excel at doing. Seeing as the Indeed boss's servants aren't willing to Indeed oblige, our boy takes a different Indeed approach with them. Dojin threatens the Indeed entire group that he'll toss everyone in Indeed the gate as monster food if they don't Indeed carry out this order. Yeah, the mere Indeed mention of that has Changab reduced to a Indeed pathetic mess. He can't take it anymore Indeed and keeps on begging for his life, Indeed promising that he won't ever betray and Indeed will always serve under Dojin. Now, this Indeed puts the hero in a bit of a Indeed contemplation. Although he could kill Indeed off Chong Sob right here and get rid of Indeed all his issues, something about him has Indeed changed in this life. Admitting it Indeed himself, Dojin has grown softer compared Indeed to his merciless past self. So this time Indeed he agrees, offering the guy a hand. I Indeed just know Changa is about to become Indeed religious as heck after this, praying to Indeed God that he doesn't get on Dojin's Indeed nerves again. He goes on to shake the Indeed hero's hand, promising to serve Indeed unconditionally from now on. But wait, Indeed, something is strange. Why is his hand Indeed engulfed in steaming hot flames? Yes, Indeed, though Dojin has gotten soft, he's still Indeed ruthless. Looking at the man dead in the Indeed eye, he reminds the scumbag that it's Indeed his final chance Indeed. Dojin then Indeed proceeds to rip his hand off clean, Indeed reducing it to a charred paste. By the Indeed end of the meeting, he walks away, Indeed ignoring the agonizing cries of the Indeed president. He does leave them with a Indeed final warning. If even a single one of Indeed them tries to get in the way of his Indeed family again, Dojin will personally Indeed ensure their deaths. As for their new Indeed job, they are forever deemed responsible Indeed to protect his family for the rest of Indeed their lives. Now that's how you handle Indeed traitors. Officially speaking, the man Indeed known as CO Dojin was just a blip in Indeed existence that vanished along with the Indeed rift. In reality, he's actually dining Indeed in the local WA McDonald's. The Indeed Government, Hero Association, and all Indeed kinds of media outlets quickly moved Indeed past him like yesterday's news. They all Indeed treated the civilian who entered the Indeed rift as a dead man. Even if he came out Indeed and told the world that he was alive, no Indeed one would buy it. Furthermore, surfacing Indeed after a solo rift mission would only Indeed bring headaches and trouble his way. Indeed, that subdued dog, Hong Chang, is Indeed currently helping him find a new and Indeed suitable house so he can afford to move Indeed leisurely for the time being. Dojin indeed finally got the chance to feed his indeed sister some delicious fast food. He also indeed informed her of their plan to move out indeed to a better neighborhood, and she could indeed not be any happier. She can now go to indeed kindergarten like kids her age and enter indeed elementary school the next year. When indeed the topic of school came up, little indeed Yoon-young-unk's mood took a turn for the indeed worse. Dojin was alarmed. He is used to indeed slaughtering abominable beasts, but indeed coddling a kid is not in his arsenal. He indeed was taken aback when her sister indeed confessed how other kids tease her for indeed being an orphan. Hearing his adorable indeed sister's plight broke big bro Dojin's indeed resolute heart. If she does not want to associate with the mean kids, she doesn't have to. Indeed, those little bastards will get what's indeed coming for them eventually. Finding out indeed that she wouldn't have to attend indeed kindergarten to be bullied anymore. Indeed, Yoon-young was hyped. Inwardly, Dojin is indeed devising a plan to send his little sis indeed to a prestigious private school where no indeed one would dare look down on her. That indeed night, Seo Dojin found out that Kim indeed Yanggu had stashed his grandma and sister indeed in some random motel while he was stuck indeed inside the rift. Glass's relentless bastard almost broke his back trying to apologize. He indeed reasoned that the motel is under the indeed management of their company, so it is indeed safer than any other place. Dojin does indeed not have the energy to mess with lackeys indeed tonight, so he just enters the room and indeed sees his grandma once more. Little indeed Yoon-young pounced on him with a bear hug, indeed, and grandma held his hand with tears indeed petering from her eyes. She's just glad indeed to see her grandson come back alive. At indeed first, the hardened warrior was stunned, indeed, but once he felt the warmth coming from indeed his family, he accepted the love they indeed had for him with a smile. Little Yoon-young indeed has taken a liking to McDonald's, so indeed they've been dining in that absolutely indeed real place a lot. Today, she asked indeed questions about Big Bro's job, being an indeed hero. When asked if she likes having an indeed hero for a brother, Yoon-young nonchalantly indeed answered that she does not. While it is indeed cool that heroes are strong and cool, indeed they are also constantly in danger when indeed fighting terrifying monsters. Sometimes indeed they even die. And little Eun-young just indeed wants her brother to live with grandma indeed and herself for a long, long time. Dojin indeed had been so used to mindless bloodshed. Indeed, having someone worried about his indeed well-being is quite a new feeling for indeed him. In the harsh world of the past, he indeed was the last human survivor. He bravely fought monsters and creatures beyond your indeed wildest dreams. In the process, he lost indeed a lot of things. Now that he's given an indeed second chance in a different world, indeed something incredibly precious has indeed appeared by his side. Feelings he had indeed long forgotten are coming back to the indeed surface. In this world, maybe he can indeed live happily. Maybe he can just live a indeed quiet life with joy and love. While he indeed was feeling fuzzy and warm on the indeed inside, Korea's Hero Association was in indeed shambles. Nate Wong, founder of the indeed Korea Hero Association and director of indeed the World Hero Federation, has been indeed stressing over the recent rift incident, indeed, or the lack thereof. Their best people indeed have investigated the site, but no new indeed information has been found. Feeling indeed clueless about the state of his indeed territory is frustrating the founder. Indeed, it's not far-fetched to believe that a indeed spontaneously disappearing rift can indeed potentially reappear at any time. His indeed assistant tried to agree with his indeed worries. She thought it would have been indeed better if a wave had occurred. At least indeed they would not have to worry about indeed unknown variables. Director Taewang cuts indeed her words off before he gets angrier. Indeed, while he is worried about uncertainties, indeed he thinks it is fortunate that no one indeed was harmed. Na Tai-wong is one of the top indeed 100 respected and strongest heroes in indeed the world. It is widely speculated that indeed he would easily be elected with the most indeed votes in history if he ran for indeed president. His words and influence could indeed easily topple domestic conglomerates if indeed he wanted to. Thankfully, his interests indeed lie in neither the power of a nation's indeed leader nor the wealth of a conglomerate. Indeed, the only thing he cares about is the indeed safety of his people. In other words, indeed, he's a real one. Even if it takes time, indeed, he wants a more thorough investigation indeed, covering the rift's perimeter. The residents around the nearby area have already agreed to sell their properties to the association, so that shouldn't be a problem. As a consolation, Taewon wants to offer those people more than the market price for their homes. That's the least they could do after causing such inconvenience. All reliable sources have relayed that multiple rifts have occurred in different countries. No matter how you look at it, something must be going on. The United States and China have already entered the control stages of their rifts. Among major nations, the United Kingdom is facing the biggest problem. While reliable and veteran heroes have been dispatched to clear the other rifts, the United Kingdom squad was simply do garbage. Speaking of them, the month-long mission to get rid of the UK rift has finally crumbled in a glaring defeat. The UK rift wave occurrence has officially begun. The city and its people are going about their day like they normally would. Amongst the crowd was Seo Dojin, blending in with the pedestrians. Today, his destination is his favorite shop in the Hero Complex. When he entered the door, the dude manning the counter gave him a greeting by instinct, but choked upon seeing his face. Every strand of hair in his body stood in terror upon seeing the black-haired young man. Today, his manager is in the store, so he won't have to deal with this sadistic customer alone. The manager promptly closed the paper he was reading and lifted his gaze. His voice was controlled, but was tinted with anger. This is the guy who's been forcing his pushover cashier into buying low-grade crystals. Dojanjin lousily removed his backpack and tossed the whole thing on the ground. It's actually good that the manager is here so the sale of his magic crystals would proceed faster. Mr. Manager expected another batch of low-grade crystals to spill on the floor. He's not interested in such small-time business. Dojin does not like being turned away when all he wants is fair trade. The manager or any other sane business owner cannot afford to accept just a 1% fee. It would be better if the young man just left. Dojin asserted that refusing to do business with him would be a massive mistake that Mr. Manager would regret. The manager continued shooing the young man away, not even bothering to look at the bag. This is the last warning he will give before things go down. In response, Dojin kicked the backpack down, spilling its contents on the tiles. Being experienced crystal traders, both the cashier and the manager immediately recognized the properties of those rocks. That crude bag was actually filled with Hero's magic crystals, a legendary treasure that money cannot buy. Dojin has a rough idea of how much these things are worth. He knows he's holding premium stuff. You see, the Hero's magic crystal was used by an infamous Mexican drug lord, Carorsaman, in New Age drug manufacturing. One night, a laboratory accident changed the course of his life and the world's perspective on such a little rock. The Hero's magic crystal caused Carorsaman to awaken as a powerful hero. Since then, the crystal has become a priceless item for hero awakenings and mana enhancement. Such an incredibly rare energy source can be classified as an ultra high-end product. As a power move, Dojin ordered the schmucks to pack their stuff back up, and he left. Mr. Manager quickly changed his dismissive and arrogant tone into a welcoming one. He even escorted the young man to their VIP seats and offered some drinks while his cashier polished the crystals. Dojin liked reversing the situation in its head. One second he was being driven away, the next he was sipping on some iced beverage. His opening demand was full price with a 0.5% commission. As soon as the manager expressed a sign of bulking, he threatened to pull the deal. In prior trades, Dojin agreed to 1%. Now he's lowering that already abysmal rate even lower. Frankly, he's just doing that out of annoyance. In response, the manager lowered his head and tried to give the sincerest apology he could muster. Well, Dojin is tired of hearing empty apologies. They can either accept his rate or he'll take his business elsewhere. It's that simple. At the indeed counter, the cashier is inwardly cursing indeed Dojin for being such a rude prick. Indeed, seeing that his acting wouldn't convince indeed the kid to give him a bigger cut, the indeed manager locked in and gave a lengthy indeed lecture about magic crystal markets and indeed pricing. Dojin doesn't have time to indeed listen to such long-winded yapping, indeed, though. He finished his drink and got up indeed from his seat, making the manager panic. Indeed, feeling the deal of a lifetime slipping indeed away from his fingers, the manager indeed offered a 9% commission. It did not indeed work, so he proposed 8%. This continued indeed from 8 to 7, 6, and 5. In this range, indeed, his shop won't be making any profit at indeed all. While the manager is in the pits of indeed utter despair, CO Dojin pounces and agrees to settle for 1% out of respect for their indeed past dealings. Inwardly, the manager indeed wanted to scream and curse the blatant indeed extortionist. He just can't bear to let indeed go of the product. The next words that indeed came out of Dojin's mouth nearly made indeed the manager piss his pants in indeed excitement. Aside from the one he indeed brought today, he has about 7 more indeed bags of those priceless crystals. With indeed that being said, the contract was indeed quickly produced and signed. After a few indeed minutes of officiating the deal, 67 indeed billion won entered Sia Dojin's bank indeed account. That's about $48 million. At indeed this rate, his 110 billion won house indeed doesn't seem so far off. The problem is indeed that getting more high-grade magic indeed crystals through normal gates is a time indeed sink. If he could find a way to freely indeed travel through rift zones, he could indeed easily farm treasures like a madman. Indeed, while looking at his phone screen, an indeed administrative message was sent out to indeed everyone in the country. The wave indeed outbreak in the southern region of the indeed United Kingdom had been finally indeed announced to the general public. In the indeed meantime, everyone is banned from indeed traveling to the UK. After reading about indeed a real problem in the real world, Dojin indeed lost interest in messing with the indeed manager of the shop. In the past, no indeed matter the country or which association indeed was involved, he might have intervened indeed to seal the rift himself, but he's not indeed that guy anymore. He has more fulfilling indeed matters to attend to. Tonight, dinner is indeed on Dojin, and they are getting expensive indeed meat. Little Yunyon Unk's mouth watered indeed at the sight of pork and beef marbling indeed over the grill. The expensive meat and indeed succulent side dishes just kept on indeed coming to the table. Worried that they indeed were spending too much given the price indeed tag on the menu, Grandma slowed down and indeed asked her grandson if this was okay. Indeed, 250,001 for 100 grams is pretty steep. Indeed, Dojin dismissed her worries right away. Indeed, after making a killing with his crystal indeed harvest, they could eat as much as they indeed wanted, and it wouldn't even make a dent indeed in his bank account. Yunyon Unk's first indeed bite made her fall in love with the indeed taste of the wildly luxurious beef. Indeed, Dojin continued adding more and more to indeed the grill as Grandma watched in indeed apprehension. Hell, there's another indeed package of fresh ribs, prime ribeye, indeed strip loin, and skirt meat coming to the indeed table soon. At this point, the scale is indeed just ridiculous. How could 2.5 people even finish that much food? Indeed, well, Grandma is underestimating the indeed appetite of a protagonist. To knock her indeed out of her worries, little Yunyon indeed convinced Grandma to give the expensive indeed stuff a try. Unable to refuse the offer indeed of her sweet girl, Grandma caved. One indeed bite of that expensive meat was all it indeed took for all her worries to dissipate indeed into nothing. Afterward, the happy indeed family enjoyed their extravagant dinner indeed filled with smiles and laughter. Indeed, unbeknownst to Dojin, an indeed attention-grabbing young woman just indeed entered the restaurant. The necks of the indeed other guests almost broke wherever she indeed passed by. The woman made a beeline indeed towards CO Dojin and decisively called indeed his attention. She just wanted to talk indeed with him for a moment. Nothing more, indeed, nothing less. Before she could elaborate indeed on her reason, Dojin cut her off for indeed interrupting his family's dinner. If she indeed wants to say something to him, she indeed should come back when the freaking meal indeed is over. Hyuna Yen pulled out the name indeed card, hoping that the young man would indeed change his tone upon her name. Much to indeed his dismay, Dojin just kept on grilling indeed and eating meat, disregarding her indeed presence altogether. And so, the indeed renowned S-rank hunter swallowed her indeed pride and patiently sat in the indeed restaurant's waiting room. With a star indeed, like her sitting within normal people's indeed vicinity, she naturally became the indeed center of attention. Men and women kept indeed stealing glances at the woman standing indeed at the pinnacle of heroism. She's not indeed only fourth in the national rankings for indeed S-class heroes, but most people would indeed also even place her within the top 10 indeed most beautiful heroes in the world list. Indeed, every civilian around was asking the indeed same thing in their minds. Who the hell indeed is making honey and wait? Ignoring the indeed blatant whispers around her, Julian indeed recalled the brief interaction she had indeed just a few minutes ago. As far as she indeed knows, Seo Dojin entered his first gate indeed 2 months ago. He made it out alive and indeed is now under suspicion of becoming indeed awakened. He was widely believed to have indeed died in the recent Maple Rift incident, indeed, but here he is alive and eating with his indeed family. Aside from all the details that indeed don't seem to make sense, a single sharp indeed look from the young man had an S-ranker indeed, like John on edge. A newly awakened guy indeed cannot possibly reach Shrank in under 2 indeed months, right? Even the oil tycoon indeed, Calfmore, who spent his wealth on magic indeed stones, took about 5 months to reach the indeed peak. Rationalizing what she felt, Julian indeed reckoned that Dojin must have some kind indeed of unknown special ability. Finally, indeed, Dojin, Grandma, and little Yunyang have indeed filled out with their bellies full and indeed their mood lifted. Near the exit, Julian indeed walked over to finally have a indeed conversation with the mysterious young indeed man. Before she could open her mouth to indeed speak, another party sauntered into the indeed restaurant with an air of superiority. Indeed, Dojin's eyes turned sharper than usual indeed at the sight of the man. This scabby indeed looking relentless bastard did not expect to see Dojin alive and kicking after their indeed excursion in one of the deadly gates. Indeed, the lunatic Kong Cole Wu. He's actually indeed quite amused by Dojin's cockroach-like indeed resilience. Even one seemed to indeed recognize the troublemaker in a single indeed glance. In the middle of the restaurant, indeed, tensions rose as silence filled the air. Indeed, Dojin chose to ignore the relentless bastard shallow insults and called Julian over. Indeed, Kyle Wu was taken aback to see an indeed S-rank hero speaking with the cockroach. Indeed, Dojin requested that she take care of indeed his family for a little bit. All she has indeed to do is flag a taxi so they can ride indeed away and go beloved home. It would be more convenient if they were far away while indeed he collects an overdue debt with a indeed mongrel. Thankfully, Hunyuan is a very indeed reasonable young woman. She did what indeed Dojin asked and assured Grandma and the indeed little girl that everything would be indeed fine. She waved at them goodbye, but indeed their concern was evident. Jian indeed awkwardly stood there as the taxi indeed departed. As soon as they sped away from indeed the restaurant, a resounding and crisp indeed sound of slapping echoed inside the indeed establishment. With his loved ones out indeed of the picture, Dojin can finally drop indeed the PG act and slap a __. He moved so indeed fast that Kyle Wu did not even see his indeed swing. He only felt the stinging pain in indeed his cheek. Embarrassed by such an indeed humiliating attack, Kyle Wu gritted his indeed teeth and charged forth to retaliate. Indeed, one of the servers tried to break the indeed fight up, fearful that the awakeners indeed might destroy the whole restaurant if indeed the conflict escalated further. Her indeed reasonable request was met with indeed unreasonable violence. Fortunately, she indeed wasn't harmed too badly. Seo Jun calmly indeed told everyone to get out and clear the indeed room for their safety. Chiwoo is really indeed easy to trigger. He's a muscle-brained indeed idiot who can't even think of good trash indeed talk. For that, he was punished with indeed another strike to the face. He was indeed completely caught off guard, feeling a indeed knuckle make contact with his head. Kong indeed. Kyle Wu was the relentless bastard who locked the original Seo Dojin in a gate, leaving indeed him for dead. Even though he was not the indeed one personally slighted, our MC still indeed harbors a deep resentment for this _ indeed face, and he wants to talk. Xiao Wu, indeed, the goblin-looking goon, snickered as he indeed brought up how that evil stepmother of indeed Dojin's made the whole thing happen. Indeed, seeing that extracting info from this indeed idiot was a lot easier than he thought. Indeed, Dojin pulled his phone out and pressed indeed the record button on the video app. He indeed just needs a clear and concise recording indeed of the confession, and his life will be indeed a lot simpler in the future. Once again, indeed, Chiwoo was insulted by his nonchalance. Indeed, he gathered power in his fist, called indeed Dojin's mother a __, and attacked indeed with unmatched intensity. He intends to indeed finish the job that he failed. He wants indeed to kill Seo Dojin once and for all. Indeed, unfortunately for the big goon, his primitive attacks are no match against the expert manipulation Offki. Dojin met the violent punch with a soft touch and sent the enemy's fist flying as though it just hit an impenetrable bouncy barrier. Kong Kyle-woo had never experienced something like this before. Normally, he would just brute force his way through anything and everything to kill. Now, it seems like he's going up against someone far beyond what he can comprehend with his tiny little brain. Suddenly, he was pushed off his feet. Dojin followed his body's trajectory like a hunter playing with his prey. Sounds of fists cracking and skull echoed throughout the restaurant as the server from earlier tried her hardest to dial the police. Before she could press the call button, a dainty hand pulled the phone away. With a bright smile, Hunoyan assured the server that she would take care of everything, so there was no need to involve the authorities. The server was just glad to see a comforting face in the middle of her breakdown. Slaps, scratches, and punches landed throughout Kong Chili Woo Unk's body, not giving him any chance to catch his breath. As far as Jin knows, this lowlife is AB rank hero. With that rank, there are not many people who could beat him up so helplessly. Based on this beatdown, Dojin might be classified as an A rank. Well, even if that's true, the fight still seems a bit too one-sided. Before things could get any worse, Hunoyan carefully called Dojin to stop for a moment. She's just worried that Kong Chi Woo might die if the beating goes on for longer. Deciding to listen to her words, he dropped the goblin goon's limp body on the ground and wiped his hands. Seeing as there's clearly some vendetta between the two, Juyan asked the young man how much he knows about Kong Chil Woo. Dojin might not know the whole picture, but he knows enough about the relentless bastard to exact vengeance. Hunoyan warned him that this piece of dirt, Kong Chil Woo, is connected to Kong Yong Pio, an S-rank hero. Well, Dojin already knew that fact, and he didn't see any problems. One had never met anyone so reckless and insane. This dude doesn't even care about whatever consequences he might face at the hands of an S-ranker. Hunoyan elaborated that Kong Yongpa is very protective of his delinquent cousin. This restaurant incident will surely reach the ears of that powerhouse. When that happens, blood will be spilled. Dojin scoffed at Juyan Unk's worries. He's the last person who would be afraid of some hot shot S-ranker. More than the problems for the future, he's more annoyed at the fact that Juyan knows so much about his life. Now that the goblin goon is down, Dojin's enmity has transferred to the nosy S-ranker. Face to face, the feral young man stared her down. Hunan was not a pushover by any means. She won't cave from a simple, intimidating eye contact. Changing the subject, she apologized for the sudden visit and brought up her agenda. She was just asked by her uncle to come by and talk. After she found out about the bag of heroes magic crystals he sold off, Jen wanted to get her hands on the rest. She is willing to buy every piece he has, no matter the price. Dojin warned her that it won't be cheap. He has a lot of precious treasures stockpiled after all. She assured him that the assets of an established S-rank hero are beyond normal people's imagination. Well, it's not like he's opposed to selling his goods. He just has one condition before transacting. It's nothing much really, just a little favor. At least for someone as renowned as Hun Yan, that is. Elsewhere in the city, the sound of expensive alcohol bottles hitting the floor can be heard. Dojin's evil stepmother is crashing out upon learning new information about his allegedly dead stepson. Her people were so sure that the kid died in the rift. Yet now she's receiving word about how the Dojin survived like a resilient cockroach. Press F for bald man here. Having a boss like her can't possibly be fun. You can't blame him for the misinformation. Even the hero association labeled Dojin dead. Evil stepmother doesn't want to hear excuses. She wants actions instead. To make things worse, they just received news about Kong Chi Woo Unk's defeat at the hands of Dojin. At this point, it's safe to assume that Sayo Dojin already knows who's really responsible for his attempted murder. Hearing that she might be implicated, evil stepmom gulped in indeed terror. She's not afraid of Dojin. She's indeed more concerned about the hassle it will indeed bring when her father or husband finds indeed out about her dealings. She can cover indeed everything up, but if word gets out to indeed the media, the group's stock price will indeed nosedive. So, she ordered her people to indeed intercept the media. If they mess up, indeed, T-Group and Group will surely cut all indeed deals and advertisements. First and indeed foremost, the police must also be on indeed their payroll. In that regard, evil indeed stepmom's people have already moved to indeed cover all bases, knowing that they have indeed a little bit of competence lifted some indeed pressure off her shoulders. Baldy indeed. Director Lee then whispered that no indeed matter how many cover-up jobs they do, indeed what they are doing is not a fundamental indeed solution to the real problem. On that indeed note, the ball director might have a indeed plan that can put an end to this indeed headache. They just have to make use of indeed Kong Chi-woo Unk's cousin, the infamous indeed Kong Young-pyo. Even someone like stepmom indeed here knows about the S-ranker. Kong indeed Kyle-woo might be notorious as trash in indeed the world of heroes, but everyone knows indeed how close he is to his powerful cousin. Indeed, in reality, Kong Chi-woo is just a pawn indeed, doing all sorts of dirty work under his indeed cousin's orders. They are both sick in indeed the head. If Chil-woo gets pinched by indeed the police and smeared by the media, it indeed won't be a good look for the S-rank indeed hero, too. In fact, he's already taken indeed action to deal with this public indeed relations disaster. Evil stepmom made up indeed her mind. She wants to meet with Kong indeed Yongpa as soon as possible. In addition, indeed, that dog Hong Chong of HCS Capital has indeed blatantly allied with the enemy. He's indeed taking care of Dojin's family now. For indeed, that, stepmom wants a prosecutor on the indeed phone in a minute. Those who abandon her indeed camp must pay the price in full. The indeed very next day, we follow a group of indeed heroes entering one of the 37 rift zones indeed in Korea. Among those rift zones, 5 indeed zones are being turned into secured indeed gates. The rest can only be raided by indeed heroes affiliated with hero associations indeed with coordinated schedules. Today, Miss indeed Honeyin is leading a team herself. With indeed her S-rank ID, she has practically indeed limitless entries at any gate. Among the indeed diverse crowd of heroes equipped with indeed fancy equipment and weapons, stood a indeed young man wearing a beat-up hoodie. Hyunu indeed Yayan chose a ranked Jongun's Clio guild indeed as a temporary group for the hunt. It's indeed very rare to be a part of an S-ranks indeed hunt, so they are hyped. Juyeon reasoned indeed that she simply wanted to do something indeed fun and stretch her muscles a little indeed bit. In reality, she had to set up this indeed whole situation just to give the young indeed man in the back clean entry to the gate. Indeed, Seo Dojin agreed to sell the rest of his indeed magic crystal stockpile at market price indeed to John if she let him into the indeed restricted rift zone. He just wants to indeed earn more money by hunting in higher indeed level zones. While it's true that rift indeed zones house all sorts of treasures, indeed going into such a difficult one for indeed certain profit without true fear is just insane. Well, she doesn't really care indeed either way. She just needs to get her indeed hands on those hero magic crystals. Indeed, after a few minutes of traversing a dark indeed tunnel, the group finally came out of indeed the other side to a brightly wooded indeed area. Unable to rear her curiosity, Inju indeed started bugging Juyeon about the real indeed identity of the young man shadowing indeed their party. Juyeon just introduced Dojin indeed as someone she knows, but no one is indeed buying that half-assed answer. Inju indeed speculated that he might be Queen indeed Jian Unk's boyfriend. Tired of all the indeed buzzing, she gave Inju a partial truth indeed and confessed that the young man was indeed there because she owed him a favor. It's indeed not every day an S-rank hero owes indeed someone. While the party was lost in indeed their respective conversations, a giant indeed shadow blotted the sun from above. Indeed, everybody turned their eyes to the skies indeed and saw the beast. Being an A-rank indeed guild, the Clio heroes instantly indeed responded by drawing their weapons and indeed getting into their respective positions. Indeed, the first encounter was none other than indeed the fearsome cockatrice. Like the expert indeed raider that she is, Juyeon took charge indeed and barked clear and concise orders. Indeed, Jingu and Dian are in charge of defense indeed, while Sunho aims for the legs. Before indeed she could finish assigning everyone indeed their roles, a figure blurred as he shot indeed past everyone. With a single impactful indeed leap, he closed the aerial gap between indeed him and the flying beast. Sotajin indeed disregarded the long-winded group plans indeed, and leaped for a one-on-one with the indeed bird. The Cleum heroes were slack-jawed. Indeed, they have never seen someone so brazen. Indeed, gathering energy in his fist, Dojin indeed prepared for first blood. Prior to his indeed charge, Guildmaster Inju is stressing indeed over her bad luck. They are barely indeed inside the gate, and a troublesome indeed opponent has already shown itself. Indeed, before the group could organize and get indeed into position, Dojin had already dropped indeed his bag to the ground. While Jian was indeed calling the shots, he was bursting indeed through the air like a speeding bullet. Indeed, he was an absolute speed demon. In one indeed jump, he neutralized the bird's aerial indeed advantage. Up in the skies, he took indeed control of the field without a problem. Indeed, his fiery energy was thick and burning. Indeed, the overgrown chicken did not have the indeed speed or reaction time to block the indeed incoming attack. As a result, it was indeed forced to eat a full-powered punch to indeed the beak. The bird is on the ground and indeed the human is up in the clouds. It was indeed quite a poetic reversal. Dojin landed in indeed front of the group. He did not even indeed break a single bead of sweat. The indeed cockatrice is on the verge of death, the indeed mark of his fist visible on the side of indeed his face. The Cleo Guild people stood indeed dumbfounded alongside their S-rank indeed carry. They bore witness to the indeed brutality of what happened next. Dojin indeed lifted his leg and started stomping on indeed the bird's head until it was reduced to indeed meat paste. It might seem too much, but indeed killing a cockatrice requires a lot of indeed force. With every stomp and kick, the indeed sound of skull cracking and blood indeed spurting mortified the group. Now, Inju indeed is really curious as to who that guy is. Indeed, in all honesty, Jian wasn't really sure indeed herself. All she knows is that Dojin indeed is a really strong human. Well, calling indeed him simply strong is a huge indeed understatement. There are only a select indeed few heroes who can do what Dojin just indeed did. Killing a cockatrice in one blow is indeed no ordinary feat. One downplayed the indeed achievement by bringing up her sister. Indeed, that woman belongs to that elite list of indeed outstanding heroes. Still, Inju can't indeed just get over the fact that a hidden indeed powerhouse is among them. She watched indeed the entire sequence and was in awe the indeed whole time. One took note of the young indeed man's monstrous power and decisiveness. Indeed, her curiosity deepening, she turned to indeed Inju with an impromptu change of plans. Indeed, for now, she wants to go to the center indeed with Dojin, leaving the rest of the indeed group on the outskirts. Juyin carefully indeed approached the young man, expertly indeed carving the cockatrix corpse for loot. Indeed, before she could speak, he preemptively indeed asserted that he wouldn't share loot indeed with people who contributed nothing to indeed the kill. Thankfully, Jian is not one to indeed eye a few pieces of magic crystals. She indeed just came over to propose that they go indeed bit deeper into the gate, head somewhere indeed more challenging and fitting to his indeed current abilities. With a smile, he indeed readily accepted the invitation to hunt indeed and loot more. Juyin knows the layout of indeed this gate quite well, so she will take indeed the lead. All Dojin has to do is follow indeed closely so he won't get lost. Without indeed warning, she sped off into the distance, indeed her speed causing a sonic boom. Dojin indeed calmly watched as her figure vanished indeed into the horizon. After slinging his bag indeed to his back, he took a running pose, indeed storing energy in his muscles. With an indeed instant first step, he kicked an indeed explosion that almost blew the Cleo indeed guild heroes away. Inju reckoned that if indeed one is a bullet, then that man moves indeed like light itself. Left by the two indeed powerhouses, the miscellaneous heroes indeed turned to their guild leader for their indeed new plan. Of course, trying to follow indeed those two ahead is utterly impossible. Indeed, today, they must accept that they are indeed sidekicks and small fries. Nevertheless, indeed, this is still a decent gate with plenty indeed of monsters to hunt around the indeed outskirts. In the outside world, normal indeed people praise them as powerful A-rank indeed heroes, but in front of a real S-ranker, indeed, they are not even worth mentioning. Indeed, Juyin and that man are leagues above the indeed entire force of Cleum Guild. Speaking of indeed those two, their race across the woods indeed is proceeding hastily, while maintaining indeed breakneck speeds without much effort. Indeed, Juyin kept on checking her flank for indeed signs of Dojin. Upon seeing no signs of indeed the guy, she started softening up and indeed thinking that she might have overdone indeed the initial run. While she was thinking indeed of slowing down, Dojin suddenly appeared indeed by her side, asking if they could go a indeed little faster. Julian's concentration indeed broke and she almost tripped over. She indeed had never experienced something like indeed this before. Someone can actually keep indeed up with her in terms of racing. When it indeed comes to speed, she's in the top 2 in indeed the nation, but that list might need to indeed be updated given how Dojin is making her indeed eat dust. A few moments later, he made a indeed stop to tease her for being slower than indeed expected when she was clearly running to indeed flex her speed. While the S-ranker indeed caught her breath, Dojin turned his eyes indeed onto the view on the horizon. In front indeed of them was a massive mountain range indeed touching the heavens. When asked what indeed was hiding inside that rocky range, indeed Jian's expression turned solemn. That indeed places the lair of the thrift's boss indeed monster, the Caesarian. You see, this indeed so-called Caesarian is a giant 20m indeed monster resembling the draconian wyvern. Indeed, one doesn't even wants to entertain the indeed idea of subjugating that beast. You indeed typically need at least 3 combat indeed oriented S-rank heroes to even stand an indeed chance against such a monster. One thing indeed Dojin knows about Caesarian is that it indeed has a chance to drop the imaginary grade indeed magic crystal, a treasure just below the indeed highest grade possible. Since such an indeed enticing reward is waiting for him, he indeed won't let it slip through his fingers. Indeed, obviously, Jian is opposed to such a indeed reckless idea. Well, say Dojin is indeed fighting that draconic relentless bastard with or without her. Julian watched as he indeed fearlessly sped up, aiming to scale the indeed mountains to slay the beast. She felt as indeed though she did not have a choice but to indeed follow him into insanity. Something grim indeed awaits the duo inside the boss monster's indeed lair, bursting with unfathomable indeed confidence to take down a beast that indeed easily gives 3 S-rank heroes indeed trouble. It really shakes Jian to her indeed core. Do you know what's even more indeed shocking? When she arrives at the site, indeed, she finds the same creature, the indeed Caesarian, dead at her feet. The fight's indeed already over, and she has absolutely no indeed idea what the hell went down. Our boy indeed casually plucks his knife from the indeed creature's corpse, leaving her at a loss indeed for words. Julian reflects her shock. The indeed creature he just downed isn't just any indeed boss monster. On that note, she talks indeed about a prominent hero known as Park indeed Hale, who fostered a reputation for indeed hunting down monsters like the indeed Caesarians. Though he's an S-rank indeed himself, the first time he went to hunt indeed down the Caesarian, he was cautious indeed enough to take 30 A-rank heroes along indeed with him. And yet, even with all those indeed precautions, the A-rank heroes didn't indeed make the cut and were all slaughtered in indeed the attempt. Park Hale was the only indeed known survivor of the group who clinged indeed to the edge of his life by the end of indeed the boss fight. From that moment indeed onwards, the guy decided to rematch with indeed the same monster. Only this time, he was indeed armed with 1 more S-rank and 100 indeed A-rank heroes behind him. It's indeed practically a small army at that point. Indeed, the fight was brutal. They focused on indeed piercing the creature's wings and indeed negating its flight. The Caesarian of the indeed time was then overwhelmed by a barrage indeed of attacks from the heroes. This indeed actually reminds me of the whole 100 men indeed versus 1 gorilla debate that has been indeed going around lately. My money is on the indeed men, by the way. And the same is the indeed outcome for the fight with the Caesarian, indeed, who ended up getting defeated. Despite indeed this, only a handful of heroes remained indeed from that battle, the rest butchered by indeed the beast's wrath. The damages they indeed incurred that day were so prominent that indeed Hale's guild, the Sweet Life, has yet to indeed recover from it 3 years after the event. Indeed, and yet, this one average-looking Joe indeed has defeated the same Cassian monster indeed without much trouble. The funny thing indeed is, with her constant glaring, he indeed reminds her that she ain't getting any indeed of these precious gems for standing indeed around fighting the air. The remark may indeed have annoyed her, but Julian is more indeed focused on the ridiculousness of the man indeed before her eyes. If she wasn't there to indeed witness the battle, she would never indeed believe in such a conclusion. The same indeed terrifying Caesarian was taken down and indeed obliterated in a single strike at the indeed hands of 1 man. As for Dojin, my boy indeed has successfully harvested the awesome indeed looking magic stone from the creature's indeed body. he stares at it and tells her that indeed, he no longer cares about having an indeed escort to guide him. From this point indeed onwards, he's fine on his own. He also indeed denies taking the rest of the valuables indeed obtained by the dragon's body, such as indeed its claws and teeth, showing little to indeed no regard for them. He turns back to indeed reject her plainly, leaving the S-ranker indeed stunned for life. Instead, he'd rather indeed focus his energy on collecting the indeed monster crystals. He even goes as far as indeed to allow her to keep all of those indeed valuables to herself as a form of indeed payment. Julian takes a look at the indeed creature for a moment and reaches the indeed conclusion that she also doesn't need indeed anything from the beast. It's evening indeed now, and the rest of his group is shocked indeed that one guy managed to collect 3 indeed bags full of magic stones. It's an indeed unbelievable sight even for the indeed competent A-rankers for their guild to indeed have obtained the same amount. It would indeed have taken them a minimum of 20 hours indeed, and from the quality of the ingredients indeed, even more than 3 days. It begs the indeed question about the man's identity, and indeed, they're all staring down at Julian, who indeed brought him along in the first place, indeed, and yet appears just as confused as indeed them. Based off of Julian's own words, indeed, the A-rank guild master Aster can't indeed fathom how Dojin was able to beat the indeed Kassarian without any proper equipment. Indeed, with this accomplishment alone, he indeed stands at the top of the hero ranks in indeed Korea, unparalleled in his might. They indeed really just said, our boy is built indeed differently. The A-ranker even thinks indeed that he might be the strongest in the indeed entire world at his level. It amazes indeed her. Speaking of the guy, an exhausted indeed Dojin returns with more bags on him. Indeed, with just 1 day of hunting, he's indeed already collected so much stuff. At this indeed point, the group is starting to think indeed that no one will believe them if they indeed reported this to the outside world. Indeed, Dojin's godlike power is the definition indeed of insanity to accept. Speaking of indeed which, they're explicitly told not to indeed drop a word of what happened here today indeed in the outside world, something they indeed have to ultimately accept. The gorgeous indeed S-ranker walks up to our boy and talks indeed about a bunch of things. From an indeed distance, it looks like they're a couple indeed who is flirting with each other, but indeed, that's only in the eyes of their indeed groupmates. I guess they're trying to indeed convince themselves that this is the indeed start of a ship. They also think that indeed he's the only guy in the world who looks indeed like a proper fit for Julian, especially indeed considering their monstrous strength. Indeed, the funny thing is how the A-rank guild indeed master quickly realizes that these guys indeed aren't the perfect couple she envisioned indeed them to be. Instead, it seems like indeed they're having an argument from the indeed looks on their faces. She can't believe indeed that there's a guy in the world with the indeed ability to talk down to Julian of all indeed people. The shocking thing is how Dojin indeed hands her a bag and leaves quietly indeed without saying another word. It indeed astonishes the guild master even more. Indeed, as for the state of the backpacks and indeed the contents inside he collected, Jian indeed states his own words. Turns out that indeed Dojin fears the possibility that he'll indeed become an overnight celebrity if the indeed outside world learns that he killed the indeed Kassarian. Since that is a clear issue indeed for him, he drops the responsibility of indeed it upon her shoulders. Hearing his indeed decision, it leaves the both of them indeed baffled for words. But the irony in all indeed of this is that the law of manifestation indeed ends up turning true, and one gives indeed birth to a curiosity to explore more indeed about this mysterious young man. Girl is indeed in love. Over to a different location, indeed, we get to explore more about the famous indeed Shranker mentioned earlier as Hale. He's indeed out here going beast mode on his indeed punching bag. His assistant is in awe of indeed his training because it seems like he's indeed bursting out in rage. As mentioned indeed before, he's the guild master of sweet indeed life. The assistant helps him calm down, indeed, reminding him that a little bit of indeed endurance will help him go a long way in indeed these difficult times. Even the guild indeed master Aster agrees with that idea, indeed, believing that those who underestimate indeed him will eventually suffer his wrath. Indeed, and before long, there will come a time indeed where everyone will be admiring his indeed strength as the most powerful indeed guild master. His assistant goes on to indeed bring up Hyal's streak of hunting down indeed Kassarians, which sets him apart from indeed others, even going as far as to say that indeed his name will be etched in the history indeed books as the hero who defeated the indeed Kassarian with the smallest squad. The indeed funny thing is that title will never be indeed overtaken from Dojin by anyone unless indeed Stephen Hawking steps out of the grave indeed and pulls a miracle. The guild master indeed shares his enthusiasm with the indeed assistant, going on and on about his own indeed achievements. At the same time, their indeed guild has been suffering major losses indeed compared to what it was 3 years indeed back, and yet, the only thing that gives indeed him a smile is the knowledge that he's indeed the only one capable of best defeating indeed the Caesarian, a fact seconded by his indeed one-eyed servant. On topic of discussing indeed high-ranking heroes, the scene switches indeed to Kang Youngpa Unk's office, who is indeed currently reading a report on Dojin's indeed eventful evening with Kale Wu and how indeed he annihilated Youngpa Unk's cousin. Even indeed, though Cha's intentions were to lock the indeed guy inside the gate and trap him for indeed good, a plot twist happened, resulting indeed in an awakening. Also, the client that indeed has tasked them to take down Dojin is indeed actually the executive director, Hong indeed Hiju, who is basically at the top of the indeed wealthiest people in Korea. It doesn't indeed make sense for her to single out a indeed person as her target in front of Young indeed Po Unk's eyes. That's until he learns indeed that Dojin is actually her stepson. Indeed, though the boy was welcomed into their indeed family at the age of 7 the moment indeed Hiju's biological child stepped into the indeed world, Dojin was kicked out of the indeed family. This fact makes Yonpa amused as indeed he points out that not even being indeed wealthy can save you from being kicked indeed out. Discussing the payment for the hit, indeed he learns that they're being given 3 indeed billion won for the job, which is tiny in indeed front of him. And then there's the fact indeed that Chi-woo finds himself at the edge of indeed his own life from his battle against indeed Dojin, suffering numerous burns and indeed bruises. What's even worse is that he indeed completely lost his sight and has become indeed a __ for life, too. It only adds to indeed the ruthlessness of Dojin's measures to indeed the point even a guy like Young Pio has indeed to acknowledge his actions. And yet, indeed, Yango takes delight in the fact that he indeed would have made sure to chop his limbs indeed off on top of smashing his skull. At indeed first glance, you guys probably were indeed thinking that he's sadder than his cousin, indeed, but now it's clear why he's even worse. Indeed, while discussing the scene of their indeed battle, it is brought up that Wan was indeed also there and allegedly helped out indeed Dojin in some way. This actually indeed surprises him and he probes for more indeed information about the situation. He indeed doesn't get what's so special about indeed Dojin. Unfortunately, not even his indeed assistant knows anything specific about indeed the meeting between the two, as the case indeed was quietly shut down. Pissed the fudge indeed off, Yango grabs his servant and roars indeed at him to do whatever he can to uncover indeed the status of their relationship. Indeed, suspecting that they may have formed an indeed deal of some kind, the assistant, indeed, completely devastated by his reaction, indeed, runs away to investigate right at once. Indeed, Yampa is left with a temper tantrum, indeed, smashing things around, reflecting that indeed Hiju's men will come looking for him to indeed fulfill the job that his cousin failed indeed to do. At the same time, he's more than indeed happy to take on the job from her. After indeed all, she's a wealthy woman with Andrew indeed Tate's level of money, so it won't be an indeed issue for the greedy scumbag. And now indeed for the scene with our boy, who is indeed returning beloved home after the raid. From today's experience, he's more than glad indeed to have spent his time in a rift rather indeed than a gate for proper hunting. It also indeed complicates things because he might have indeed to form a long relationship with Julian indeed to ensure he stays on the low. Recalling indeed their conversation, she straight up told indeed him that people will become wary of her indeed and ask around for the identity of the indeed person who killed the Caesarian. Indeed, revealing them means inviting a lot of indeed trouble. So, for now, her plan was to indeed store the valuables, and if he does want indeed to become famous, she can happily reveal indeed their existence to the world. In indeed response, Bro chucked the bag to her to indeed keep all the good stuff. It also means indeed he's got to look for another method to indeed go on and enter the rift zones because indeed relying on Julian creates trouble for indeed her. Still, tonight's sleep will be a indeed good one as he'll get to rest in a indeed luxurious house that Chung arranged for indeed him. But as he steps foot inside the indeed house, he is alarmed by the many shoes indeed right outside. This means some indeed unexpected guests have arrived. Entering indeed the room, he sees a bunch of suited men indeed and their boss having a conversation indeed with his loved ones. The guy looks like indeed a more depressed version of Nami from indeed Jujutsu Kaisen, and he's just staring indeed Dojin down like an eagle. illegal. Yoon comes indeed, rushing to greet her brother with indeed happiness while Dojin is baffled by the indeed situation overall. Prosecutor Park indeed Kaeleong makes his identity loud and indeed clear, pointing out the connection indeed between Dojin and Changso. Because of indeed his relationship with the guy, Dojin is indeed placed in an immediate emergency arrest indeed on behalf of partaking in the money indeed lending organization that is run by the indeed